Woo! All right. Let me make sure my microphone setting is proper this time before we start the show. Looks like we good. All right. Good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon, and aloha. Welcome back to another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review, your home for credible news, reviews, and commentary on everything UFOs and UAPs. My name's Luis Jimenez. I'm so happy that you found us here today. Don't forget, before we continue, to like, subscribe, hit that bell. That way you are notified every time we go live, which is Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today is Wednesday, so you know what that means? Skinwalker Ranch Review Day. So we're going to be having the awesome UFO Jane. Michael Mataluni is, of course, here. I just saw Carl Vibe hop into the room, so it should be a fun review. We're also going to be reviewing Obama's comments. We're going to be reviewing, who else? Alex Dietrich on CNN. We're going to be looking at a lot of stuff other than Skinwalker today, so stick around. The show's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, check out the Linktree. Patreon's down there. It's the best way to support the channel. Of course, we've got all of our wonderful folks here in the chat. 41 of you watching live right now. Thank you so much for being here. Rick Carlson, UFO ought to know. You ought to know UFO. Debbie Sims, thank you guys. Russell, Rick Carlson, you guys. Avi M. I don't think this is the first time I think I've seen you here. Greer's seemed pretty upset today in his video. I think he's pissed because Elizondo called him out for throwing flares from planes. Yeah. Well, you know, good for Elizondo. I'm not a fan of Greer. Moose 1911. Let's see here. Who else? Kevin Childress. Welcome, my friend. Let's see. Alien Girl 111. Ethereal Aura. You guys. Thank you. Share the channel. Let's get live in here. Let's have some fun. Without further ado, let me bring on my co-host, my main dude, Mr. Michael Mataluni. What's up, buddy?
What's going down, my dude?
A lot is going down. So much going down. We got Skinwalker Ranch today. We've got former President Obama, saying some stuff about aliens, UAPs. There's a bunch of cool stuff. What do you got?
I'm excited. I'm excited to dig into Obama's comments. That was fantastic. One of the things that I think is so powerful about what's happening right now across mainstream media, and I know, guys, if you are somebody who's been following this for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, you could be very, very disappointed with the way mainstream media is talking about these things. I watched the View clip the other day, and I was just like so embarrassed for these folks and how they were talking about it. But it doesn't matter. That's not the point. And if you're interested in figuring out how we're going to be able to talk about these things moving forward and how we can take this more seriously, sometimes it takes silly shows talking silly about it just to capture people's interest. So I'm excited. I know there are people out there that are spewing disinformation and misinformation. We're going to do our very best not to do that to you.
They're doing it live,
accountable, though, if we do.
As we speak. There's some crazy stuff being said, possibly dangerous stuff. We're going to get into it. Honestly, I did not listen to one bit of what Stephen Greer had to say today.
I caught about 5 minutes. But
I'll go back and watch it. But
he was a bus driver. If you ever seen a bus driver just backing over people, that's.
I cannot wait actually to see this. This could be quite entertaining and hilarious. All right, so we got Jazz Shaw's in the house. All right, so let's bring on our guest, shall we? Our roundtable for the day.
Let us do it.
All right, so she's new to the show, but one of my favorites in my heart, Miss, all the way from Texas, Miss UFO Jane. How you doing tonight, my lady?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm so excited. I'm like beginning to look forward to this
to Wednesdays.
Stream.
To Wednesdays. Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so much fun to hear. What's gonna happen though when Skinwalker ends?
Gonna go through some major withdrawal.
So. We've got 7 episodes left. But listen, just because the episodes end doesn't mean you have to stop coming by, Jane.
I hope not.
We could use you in all sorts of different ways. Yeah, you're open door anytime. You're always welcome here.
Oh, we got Sprague out there. Sprague, you want to pop in? You're welcome.
Sprague, dude. Sprague, come hang out, dude. You're welcome. The link's in our chat, dude. You know where it's at. Don't be shy. Come in. Come on in. The water's warm. So, man, myth, legend. dolphin curator. Jazz. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Still
Excellent.
pushing my own personal theories, but it's been a huge week. I got to tell you,
Yeah.
not just inside UFO Twitter, but conversations I've been having and sort of rebroadcasting from reporters out there. I mean, reporters at all the big alphabet networks.
Yeah.
Who I'll give you one example if you don't mind.
No.
Chris Hayes. He's one of the bigger, if not at the top 3 at MSNBC, has paid no attention to this topic until yesterday. And he started tweeting out some stuff like, wait a minute, after 60 Minutes, he was like, what's going on? And then he started tweeting links to the New Yorker article. And he's like, if, like me, you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, here's some good things to read. And he's diving into it.
That's wonderful.
And I hope people don't push him, because I haven't pushed him. Some of these people, it's going to take time to come along. It's a big adjustment. And some of them are going to take a little while. And just going out and screaming, we told you so 10 years ago, isn't helping anything. Right. You know, it's just like, give him some space.
Yep.
Give him some time. Send him a few links. You know, things like that. So that's my approach. But yeah, it's the media world is on fire right now.
Yeah, well, we're
make sure to share your ideas about dolphins with everybody who's asking about UFOs for the first time. That's the first rabbit hole to send people down.
Can I say something about that specific? Thank you for bringing that up, UFO Jane, and let me share this with Jazz real quick, because the other day, the first day that you were on the Singularity Lab, Jazz, after the show, I was chatting with my wife about the show, and she goes, so why does Jazz believe that the UFO phenomenon was created by dolphins? Like, you're so convincing. Like, this idea is, he doesn't even crack a fucking smile because
because it's not a joke.
Well, the splash, right? That the recent UFO video, it made a splash.
It did make a splash.
I'm not saying it's the most likely thing. I'm just saying, to our knowledge, through the government, through civilian facilities, you don't have a definitive explanation of where these things are coming from. You don't know they're from Zeta Reticuli. You don't know they're from Russia. I make some compelling arguments that there could have been a parallel evolution of mammals with really large brains long before we came down out of the trees. Yeah. And we know, we have mapped the entire surface of Mars. We have mapped the entire surface of the moon. There's so much about the bottom of our oceans we don't know. Can you really definitively say there couldn't be another intelligence on this planet that the clever monkeys up here on the land weren't able to detect?
I cannot say that. And that's so funny you mentioned that, because that's what Kristen believes. She's like, why are we going to Mars when we've only mapped 3% of our oceans? And so you saying that cracks me up, because now I have to go back to her and say, nope, he's dead serious. So thanks for putting me in that position, Jazz.
No, I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying nobody yet can say what it is. And the idea of another intelligence, maybe not dolphins, on the planet that we haven't detected has been brought up by a lot of people, including Jacques Vallée.
Yeah, it's the Wakanda hypothesis. It's the breakaway civilization. I don't think that's not I agree. I think that's a possibility we should keep. That is a hypothesis we should keep on the table.
And I'm keeping dolphins on the table until they're ruled out. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So there is one question, and I'm just going to answer it for you. Bernie Dodge asks, how would dolphins build machines with their minds?
Yes, exactly, with their minds. They have brains that are a larger percentage of their body mass than ours. And they had those big brains long before we got our big brains. And we know they lived on the land. They went into the water. You know, I'm not saying it happened. I'm not saying there's mermaids. But is it impossible? If you're living underwater, we lived up in the air. You need to get something done. You figure out a way to do it. Somebody figured out how to build pyramids. Maybe dolphins figured out how to build tic tacs. You know?
Hey,
Until you know, you don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's a good a theory as we've heard yet. So I'm
I
not
don't
gonna
I don't know if you
completely
guys can
dismiss
see
it.
this or not, but on my back wall here, I'm pointing to them right here. That's actually a bunch of boxes of Tic Tacs right there.
Oh,
There you go.
Cool. Is that just
And
for this
someday
show?
we're going to catch one of
That's
those
just
Tic Tacs.
oh,
We're going to cut it open.
yeah.
It's
We're
going to be full of
representing
salt
the Tic
water,
Tac.
and there's going to be a dolphin in there wearing some sort of psychotronic helmet. And
I love it.
that's it.
Okay.
All right.
If
well,
I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
we've got Carl Vibe waiting in the wings, and he's been waiting in there while you give your dolphin and flipper hypothesis. Mr. Carl Vibe, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, and I have an alternate hypothesis to go along with the dolphin one. All along the Grand Canyon and throughout everywhere is all these petroglyphs, and they all look like giant ant people. And the ancient people that lived in the area said that they were tall ant people that came down from the sky and out from the caves. And in the Grand Canyon area, there's over 3,000 caves there, and they've only explored about 320 of them. And there's legends of Marble Canyon and an underground citadel. So maybe they're going into the underground aquifers of the honeycomb earth and then coming out through the ocean and using the inner earth for their travel. So maybe it's ant people, not dolphin people.
All right.
That's deep.
Oh wait, I'm
All right.
I'm now adopting that into my theory that the dolphins are going down, but the ones that didn't want to be so much underwater are going up into the caves. Also could work.
All we're doing is muddying the waters. That's all we're doing.
That's our job, really.
I would hate if this was somebody's first time to this channel, and that's how we open
We need
today's
an
show.
ants versus dolphins shirt. T-shirts.
Let's
Dole
spend this
ants.
entire
That's hilarious.
episode
Yeah.
trying to figure out what a spaceship would look like if it was made with flippers. 'Cause we probably
It looked like a
would
Tic
be
Tac,
smooth.
obviously.
It would be smooth. It would be smooth. Yep.
have a nice-
Thank you for proving my point.
It'd have a
Case
nice matte
closed.
finish.
Case
Exactly.
closed.
Feel like
All right,
this.
so guys, we've had a killer busy week. We've had some blowback or repercussions or responses to the news of the last week from some pretty big names. So my question to the group is: do we want to start there, or do we want to start with Skinwalker Ranch?
There.
Whatever you guys like.
All
It's your
let's-
show.
All right, let's start. Okay, Michael wants to start at the clips. Okay, so Michael, which clip do you want to watch first? Do we want to watch Shaquille O'Neal talk about his UFO experience?
Shaquille.
Wow, okay, you didn't even let me read the other ones.
How
Okay.
did I miss this?
Okay, all right. No, you missed this, Jess. Okay, great. So we could all talk about it now. So Jimmy Kimmel was interviewing Shaq, the legendary basketball Hall of Famer, Shaquille O'Neal, and he had, oh man, this is a 13-minute clip. So I don't know where the clip is of the UFO. I thought it was just a UFO clip. Man, he put in the whole interview. That's not what I want.
Usually he sneaks it in towards the end if he's going to get a UFO question.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
what
guessing
figuring.
it's probably
Let me-
towards the end.
I bet you're right. Let's see.
It's actually something that I do all the time. I do. Look in the couch and shoot.
How scared the couches are.
I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of this where as
Yeah.
it becomes more mainstream and political figures coming forward and other people
Yeah.
that we're going to see more celebrities stepping up and saying
Mikey,
stuff.
see if you can find me the shorter clip of that. I'm going to start with Reggie Watts and Obama.
Yeah,
because
go ahead
I've
and
got
do the
shorter clip
Obama
of
one,
that.
and I'll see if I can find
Yeah,
a shorter
so
clip.
let's start with this one because this one is also very, very interesting. Did you see this one, Jazz?
I wrote about this one today.
Rodrigo said,
okay.
"Hey, Rodrigo said it's right at the beginning, Lou, of
Okay,
the Shaq
cool,
one.
Cool. All right, well let's do
Yeah, do that
Obama
one. I'll
first.
double check.
Do you have a question for our guest this evening?
Oh boy, you betcha.
Imagine if you said no. Do you know what? Do you know what? I'm gonna skip it tonight.
Volume's low on my end.
Yeah, can you turn it up?
Yeah, I have a question today. It goes to let's make it for President Obama, since he's here. All this talk about dem aliens with the you know, what are the UAFs or whatever they call them, you know, all the footage and everyone talking about it. It's like, what is your
Close
I
enough.
know that doesn't necessarily mean aliens. It is just a UAF, but I was wondering if you have a theory about that.
Well, when it comes to aliens,
there's some things I just can't tell you on air.
But you'll tell us off air? Great.
You know, no, look. The truth is that when I came into office, I asked, right? I was like, all right, you know, is there the lab somewhere where we're keeping the alien specimens in spaceship?
See, I don't. Okay. Do you think he's joking there?
He's joking on that part.
You think so? I actually think he did ask, but
I
he's
think
joking about he's elaborating. He's joking about what he did ask. I definitely
Right.
think he asked.
That's news.
I don't know if the answer was no, because he's about to say the answer was no. I don't know if the answer was no.
Well, he doesn't
Oh, the
necessarily-
response, right?
He said they said it was no. They said no.
Well, yeah, no. He said
Right,
the
so-
truth. The truth is that I asked. That's what
Right.
I found interesting.
He
is
said that
he
before.
asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
he-
that
he-
was.
He has this weird demeanor about him too, where it's like he knows when this comes out and everybody knows that they're gonna maybe come back and check his answer on this, or like, why didn't
they
he tell?
definitely are.
And he has this demeanor about him where he's just like, oh, like it's very,
Well,
you know.
I think the reason why is he just let slip a pretty big thing that he actually inquired about UFOs while he was president of the United States,
Yeah.
and then sort of not deflected it, but added a joke at the end of it to sort of make it a little less, I don't know, newsworthy or easier to catch. You know, I don't
Yeah.
know, because you ended it with a joke, so it sort of takes your attention
Well-
from the first thing he says.
Zonks, the
Before he
alien
gets
channel,
to-
says, "What happened to plausible deniability?" I actually think he's using plausible deniability so he can go back later and say, "I was joking."
Right.
That's
Exactly.
kind of his MO.
But when he gets to the next part, and this is what I wrote about today and published, he actually dropped something that I never heard him say before. And it's a little sideways, but if you listen closely and you go back and look at the Jimmy Kimmel interview and you look at the Stephen Colbert interview, this is something he never said before.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the
Yep,
first time
he's going to get
said
to it
that.
in a second.
Yeah. No, there's a couple things that he's never said before in this interview.
Right. Well, I
Like,
mean, this was already good, but the next
Yeah.
one he says,
Yeah.
that's really the first time.
Real quick, we got a $5 donation from Alex Garcia. Thank you, sir. Well, he said that he can't say what he knows about aliens. He also said that, like, I can't tell you what I know about aliens.
Right.
That could have been a joke, maybe.
And that's a careful. He's walking a careful line there because they're saying Reggie asked the question for UAPs or UFOs, and then he's like, if you're asking about aliens, and so he recategorizes the question
Right.
himself
Yeah.
so that he can glaze over it and say no. But really, he kind of didn't answer the UAP or UFO question right out the gates.
Yet.
He just
Yeah.
So
Not
he's
yet.
Yeah.
very spoken like a politician.
Oh,
Yes,
no, for sure. No,
as
he's a massive politician.
Dude.
But he also prefaces, after he tells that first joke about the aliens that I can't tell you, and then James Gordon gets his punchline. He then says, no, in all seriousness, though, like he brings it back to like a serious note, and then he says, I looked into it. And then he ends that with a joke. So I think you're right, Mike. I think there might be some plausible
But the thing
deniability
is,
there.
he has said in past interviews that he's looked into it, and he said he can't tell us everything he knows. What's different
Right.
about this one is he then goes into a whole definition of UFOs, which
Yeah.
means he continued to hold back interview to interview, and it says just like a trickle out little by little. But let's.
Yeah,
Play the rest. This
I'm
is
gonna-
the meat
I'm-
of it.
No, I
Yeah.
know I'm going to be at the bit, but I'll say real quick to that, Jane. I think the first times he said that, it was it was clear it was a joke, if that makes sense. Whereas this one, he kind of prefaced it with, "No, seriously, I did look into it. Like this is not a joke. Like I really did."
And that he's still holding back, even after
Yeah.
all of this detail he's about to give us, that it's still not everything.
Well,
so
we built
that,
it up enough.
that
So let's
means
hear
a lot
what he
more
says.
now.
All right.
They did a little bit of research, and the answer was no. But what is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is that there's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain
how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. And so, I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is. But I have nothing to report to you today. Unless, that. See, here's the question. Reggie might secretly be an alien, right? You remember in Men in Black? And so when he asks all these questions, he's deflecting.
Can you pause right there?
Really?
So this is why Obama's a genius.
Yeah.
Because he slows down. He says, this is serious. There are things we don't understand. And then he cuts back into a joke to keep everyone laughing. But you're left there going, he literally just confirmed as an ex-president of the United States that UAP is a real phenomenon that we, the American government, do not understand. That is powerful. And then he brings it back to a joke to keep people like, ha, while they're like internally like, what the fuck just happened?
Right.
Can we point out the one phrase, though?
Yeah.
I've listened to, and I went back when I was writing my article and watched all of his previous things, all the previous times that late night people have asked him and all this. This time he said, it's just 4 words. There's footage and records. He didn't say, I've heard there's footage and records. I've been told. He's somebody that was the president when Lou Elizondo was running ATIP. And he said, I've asked. Who did he ask? Who would he have called in? Did Lou Elizondo brief him? And even if it wasn't Lou, even if it was somebody else, he's not saying, oh, I've heard stories. He's saying, there's footage and records. Nobody's telling this guy anything now that he's out of office. Okay? He's out writing books, and God bless him, and, doing tours and making speeches and living his life. Good for him. But he made that statement. There's footage and records. He only knew that because, as he said previously, I went and asked. Somebody showed him. He knew about it. And that's the closest we've come, in my opinion, to getting disclosure from Barack Obama.
Can I ask you a question, Jazz?
Please.
Regarding you've spent a lot of your life as a political journalist, right?
Right.
Okay, so when an ex-president, they still get intelligence briefings. Do they have the ability to request specific intelligence after they leave office?
I actually know the answer to that question because of Ronald Reagan and a couple others after him. They have the ability to request. Very often, those requests will be granted. Donald Trump has made requests, we have found out through back channel sources. None of those requests have been granted because Donald Trump is not really good at keeping his mouth shut.
Yeah.
But I would certainly believe that if Barack Obama, you look at, if we want to just narrow it down to the UAP topic, he has been asked about this so many times. And Michael, you pointed out how skillfully he has navigated that. But he never did anything that would violate the presidential NDAs.
No.
Now these things are out in the open. The Pentagon's talking about them. He's a little more free to talk. So, and I wasn't an Obama voter. I'll confess to everybody, but he's one of the most masterful politicians I've seen in my lifetime. Yeah. But he's also an extremely intelligent man. And I wouldn't be shocked if he went back and asked for some briefings, but also the restrictions they're all under. He wouldn't tell us that. I do know George W. Bush got a lot of briefings after he left office, but he's been one of the most closed-mouth ex-presidents we've had. He doesn't talk about anything.
He was in the CIA before he was.
Well, his father was. That was George H.W. Bush. Yeah.
He has done the joke rounds on the talk shows with the similar folks like Jimmy Kimmel and as Hillary Clinton did. There's even WikiLeaks where she talks about practicing using the term UAP on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and now you have Reggie Watts perhaps pretending like he doesn't know how to say UAP as a joke. I can't quite tell because I have a feeling he knows a lot about UFOs.
Yeah. No, I think
that sounded like a legitimate fuck up.
Yeah,
I think it's funny. Yeah.
They have pieces of it. Obama has pieces of it. I don't know if anybody actually told Trump anything. Obama definitely, George W. Bush certainly. But I've been asked in interviews before over the years if the last president that actually knew something hardcore about what was going on, if there was anything, if there was something to know, was probably George H.W. Bush, because he didn't come to the presidency just from, I'm a politician, vote for me. The guy ran our intelligence agencies. You know, he ran the CIA. He was in the body of people that kept those secrets. And I think he was probably the last president that actually knew anything.
Actually,
just my opinion.
I'll say I'll go. I bet you're wrong on that and say I bet Dick Cheney knows too.
Oh, definitely, but he wasn't a president.
No, well, he kind of was.
Well, he kind of was, but Dick Cheney knows where all the bodies are buried.
He's the most powerful vice president
because he buried a bunch of them.
Yeah.
It's really odd, conspiratorial, when you think that we went into Iraq looking for weapons of mass destruction and there weren't any. And the first thing that they went and took over was the big ziggurat, where all of the Anunnaki legends come from. And it makes you wonder what they wanted in there. They went and seized that whole place, our U.S. troops did, and took over all those ancient sites to protect them. And it really if you go back into the ancient history stuff, it can get really strange, and what the motivations are behind some of this stuff, you know,
we got
what they know.
$5 donation from Alex Garcia. He parrots the talking points everyone with a security clearance, I think, has been making. They are out there flying, and we don't know what they are.
That's not a talking point. That's just the reality.
Yeah. I mean, it might be a talking point. I mean, that's a line that they do use a lot. That's come out of Elizondo. That's come out of Mellon. That's come out of our DOD. You know, like we know they're out there. They're flying. We just don't know what they are.
And that's part of their NDA is to go. I can't tell. They're not going to say I can't tell you what they are. That they're going to say we don't know. And that's probably. I would think that's probably closer to the truth.
Yeah.
I by the way, just to be clear, I totally am on board with the idea that they're saying that because they have to, because it's their NDA. I'm not saying nobody knows, but I'm also not saying the government the government could still, after all this time, be as much in the dark as we are.
Well, even if they have photos of physical bodies, and you know,
if they have that,
that still means they don't necessarily know, you know, like what they are here for. Right?
It's probably a gray area, right, Jane? I mean, they probably know more than they're suggesting they know, but they might not know as much as some of us suspect that they know.
I would hope that we don't know everything that they know. I would hope that our intelligence agencies are somewhat sophisticated at keeping some things secret.
No, they're very good at it. That's something that people say all the time, that they don't give the government enough credit for, is they can't hide anything. It's just not true. It's absolutely so inaccurate. It's not even funny. But we're at 100 viewers right now, and I'm assuming all of you are here just so you can watch me drink my beautiful Arizona peach. Well, this is actually mango iced tea today because I ran out of the peach. Get on that, Arizona. I'm in the Los Angeles area. There's not enough peach iced tea here. But thank you guys for sharing the chat, sharing the show, and being here. I mean, this is killer. I'm glad that all of you guys are here.
And I hope there's not anybody in the chat or watching right now that hasn't subscribed to the channel, because if that's you,
subscribe. And there's a lot of you. Here's the thing. It's not the size of the show. It's your engagement, right? Like, the engagement on this show is insanely high. So some of you aren't subscribing. Please smash that subscribe button. It helps. Trust me. We got another $4.99 dono. We need to move the disclosure from yes, UFOs are real to yes, the UFO cover-up is real. What do you think of that? Yeah, I don't know if you're going to win any fans on that one.
UFO Jane brought it up, and she said that, you know, to think that the government's not keeping information classified is probably very much untrue. So I would say that they are holding back information. Is that consistent with a cover-up? That's debatable.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I don't know, Michael. I agree with both of you, but I've just been doing this for so damn long, and watching everything all the way back to the 1940s. Does the government lie to us about stuff?
Yes.
If your answer is
time.
no,
Yes.
you should
Yes.
get off the internet.
Right.
Because, did the government ever lie to us about giving black people placebos when they had STDs? Did they ever lie to us about feeding hallucinogenic drugs to our troops without telling them? Oh, no, the government would never lie to us.
Yeah.
Do
we
they
lie
know-
about Vietnam and our actions in Vietnam?
Right.
The Pentagon
And the
papers?
list goes on.
Forever,
and
yeah.
just start with Roswell. Oh, it was a weather balloon. They even came out later and admitted that was a story they made up. After the first story they made up that it was a disc, whatever. But at the same time, are they part of the galactic collective? Is Joe Biden actually sitting on the council right now with the Zeta Reticuli people? I tend to think the truth is somewhere in between those.
Yeah, that's
like there's stuff they're not telling us. I deal with Susan Goff a lot, and believe me, I don't believe everything I get.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Well, with that
it's somewhere in
said-
between.
With that said, that means that all of these videos and things that we've been getting for the last month and a half, 2 months, some of them aren't real. They have to be. Some of them have to be misidentified or just a narrative maybe that's being pushed. What do you think?
This is what Greer's talking about. This is what his entire conspiracy theory is about that Elizondo and all these other folks are coming out and saying we have a potential threat that will strengthen the military industrial complex. Now, I don't agree with the way Greer is approaching this, but to think that there is not information that's being withheld is a joke. Now, the question I brought up earlier was, does not telling the American public something that's classified, does that constitute a cover-up? And that's what, how do you define cover-up versus withholding classified information?
Right. And
Great
it's such a mixed bag too, because you can't tell. I mean, on the one hand, you have a group saying, well, this is all drones and we're making them. Well, are we making drones and are they advanced? And do we have secret drone technology? Absolutely. We definitely are going to have that being made. But does that account for everything going on? It's such a mixed bag. So they can play both sides of the fence depending on what they need to do and when they need to say what they want to say in the moment. And they'll just play both sides, and depending on where you're which camp you sit in, you have those loyalties, then you're going to keep with that camp. And so that's what you get, all these different sides of the argument, and each different angle of it could have an element of truth and an element of deception. So it's very difficult to cut through the fog.
It is.
Jack Heliquin makes a good point, or not a good point, but he said that Greer just went live calling Lou a disinfo engine.
He did. I saw it.
Is that? I mean, Jazz, maybe is that slanderous? Can Greer get in trouble for some of the stuff that he's saying? I mean, he's essentially.
Is he saying that about you or Lou Elizondo?
No, Elizondo.
No, not about Lou Elizondo. No, not me. Well, he doesn't even know me.
You'll be on his
If
radar
he was
soon.
saying that about me, we'd have so many subscribers.
Oh my God, so many subscribers. Yeah. But no, what I was going to say
is that slanderous?
Well, he's accusing the government of.
He has no case in court on that.
Right, but he's accusing the government of running a false flag operation right now.
Yeah, and I was hoping we were going to talk about a TV show, and I didn't want to dive into any really. Let me just say, I'm aware of Greer.
Yeah,
I've been aware of Greer for many years. A lot of interesting things, many interesting conversations, many interesting theories. He has certain businesses that he runs and things. I'm not saying Greer isn't real, okay? And I think there's a good chance he believes many of the things that he says, and people work with him and do things. But his history has areas that always leave me with a bit of an asterisk over his name when he comes and says something. So him calling somebody else a disinformation agent, I'm kind of like the kid on the playground who's sitting back over on the bench. Well, two other kids are throwing mud pies at each other. And I'm just like, yeah, well, maybe not.
Beverly Holmes just went, well, lost this subscriber. No time for ignorance. Okay, so sorry. What are you talking about? What's the ignorance?
Probably
here?
the dolphin thing. Yeah.
Probably the dolphin thing.
That was a while back.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a Greer fan. Maybe she believes.
Maybe she is a Greer fan. I mean, see, that's the problem, man. When you start talking to Greer fans, and I'm not trying to label them, but it's like there's no changing their minds. There's no, well, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong and you're right. Like it's almost as bad as McWest. Like there's no good faith coming from their end. It's whatever Greer says is the God's word. And that's where I almost feel like, man, can this guy, he might be running a cult at this point. And he's telling his cult the government is running a false flag operation. I'm wondering, is that, can someone take action against him for doing something like that? Especially if it, say, motivates somebody to do something terrible.
Can't see how. Well, okay. If it motivates somebody to do something violent and you can draw a direct A to B line saying, I want some of my followers to go out and burn down the house of so-and-so, and that house burns down, then that's a potential. But no, Greer is, he has his own philosophy. And I'm one of those people who's never believed in ghosts, for example. I've never experienced any sort of telepathy or anything like that. But I also, at the same time, and I'm being totally honest, I can't say that other people don't experience that. Maybe just the part of my brain that's required to do that is just petrified or something, So I don't know that the guy's wrong. It's just I don't pay a lot of attention to it because that's not part of my experience in life, and I'm older than most of you. It's just something clear, I've never encountered.
To be clear, I'm not saying he's wrong. He might be right. He might be right, but the way he's presenting it is I don't think is backed with any facts. I gotta go back and listen to it.
What's scarier, people distrusting the government's point of view about UFOs, considering history, right? Or trust. So I guess I don't know how many Stephen Greers we can handle, or like to your point, Jazz, if there was actually anything dangerous that resulted from his theories, but it's got to be some balance, because I can't say I'm a fan of Lou Elizondo. I report on what he says, and I just take him for his word, like I would a witness, right, of a UFO. Right. So but there are definitely people I think are fans of him, and there's a real fanaticism around him that alarms me a little bit. And actually, same for Stephen Greer. There's a lot of fanaticism around him too. So. Yeah.
Dude, can I get a hallelujah, amen for UFO Jane? Like, that's such an important point. Like, we should not be fanaticizing any of these people. They're people. Right. Like, I'm a person. You should not be fanaticizing me or Lou or UFO Jane or Jazz or Carl. we're giving commentary on a fascinating subject.
I gave two of my only two UFO videos to UFO Jane. She published them, and even she told me they were garbage. So
I did not. I did not.
That was a joke. She did.
Well,
she didn't say that.
I can tell you this. I feel like all UFO videos are pretty much garbage.
Mine were totally garbage.
I mean, like everybody does it through a cell phone.
It's just very hard to take a picture, video, really, of anything at night, even like a star. It's just hard.
You better have
Luis, can you put me backstage just for a minute?
Yeah, take your time.
Part of the problem I have with Greer's whole thing is that it requires so much deep, like, Rockefeller conspiracy that goes into the like almost the Illuminati conversation, and like this deep state holographic technology that goes pre-programmed clone life forms. It's so broad spectrum. We're not just talking about unidentified craft. And it seems like over time, his circle of friends has shrunk. And his recent work, it's mostly just like a camera crew that he's hired and him sitting at his kitchen table, and everybody's sort of left his side. Whereas everybody around Lou Elizondo are people like Christopher Mellon. How put off. And these are all people that are involved in secret programs as well.
The argument is that these are deep state actors. That's the argument. Because if you have people from,
how do we know Greer's not?
Right, I have no idea.
That's the problem with these like that's the problem with fanaticism is that then now you painted yourself into this hole where you could just go back and forth like that all day.
Right.
Well, how do you know Greer's not a deep state? It's just like I don't at this point I don't even give a shit. Like here's what I know is like Stephen Greer did some great work at the beginning of his career. I mean, some really groundbreaking, wonderful work, and help lay out the line of what maybe a congressional hearing would look like. I'm all about that. Like that's what this channel is mainly about is the political activization of yourself and motivation of yourself, my audience, to go call a congressman, call a senator. And Stephen Greer was the first guy to sort of blaze the trail to do that. And it's fantastic work. But when he comes out with an supposed alien that's this big, and it turns out to be not an alien, and the genetics on it turn out to be totally human, but he doesn't correct. He just digs his heels and he keeps going. And then he's charging you guys, an exorbitant amount of money to listen to him talk. I don't charge you a damn thing, and I never will, ever. You will always get this show for free. If you want to join the Patreon, go for it. If you want to donate in the Super Chat, awesome. But I will never say, hey, if you want to be part of this cool discussion that only 30 people are invited to, and it's $400 a ticket. He's a charlatan. He's a charlatan. Yeah. He's got caught up in his own ego, and that happens sometimes. And I just wish, because I don't think he's stupid. He's an MD. Like, he's a doctor. He was an emergency room doctor. He's not a dummy. He's either doing this because he truly believes it, or he's just got caught up in his own bullshit, or he's doing it on purpose to make money.
Or a combination thereof, right?
Yeah,
because people are not two-dimensional. There's these things flow throughout, for sure.
Sure.
Should we do something fun? Should we go back and watch what Shaquille O'Neal said at minute 105? Yeah. At minute 105.
Hold on one second. So Tim Savage for $1.99 dono. Paul Hellyer, Haima Shed Revelations, Galactic Federation.
Dude,
there's no proof.
There's no proof. But can I say this? Can I say this real quick to what Tim is saying? I adore this idea of a galactic federation. I am a Trekkie, okay? So if you this little blue guy back here, that's an Enterprise. And if this is true, I am all in, you guys, but we don't know. Paul Hellyer, Haima Shed, like these guys, like Haima Shed, he is the father of the Israeli space program. Mm-hmm. Like they're in space because of this guy. Like he's a genius.
Do you know the story about Gene Roddenberry, Michael? Apparently that the story of Star Trek came to him in like a seance, and there is a lot of rumor that Star Trek's very much like, and actually I'm becoming a Trekkie right now. So like I felt like it's my due diligence, like as a ufologist, I got to watch Star Trek, and I'm really like, I'm just watching the old shows. And
you're watching the 60s show? Like the original, or you're watching?
No, not 60s.
You're watching Next Generation.
Next Generation.
Like, Next Generation.
I honestly don't even know, but I'm
Who's the captain? Who's the captain?
Yeah, who's the captain?
She's just getting
Picard.
there. It's okay. Okay. Yes.
So
Next
90s.
Generation.
Yeah.
Best Star Wars television series
I love
ever.
it.
Star Trek.
Did I say Star Wars? Star Trek.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, like, you just called yourself a Trekkie, bro. Like, you might have put a target on your back with that one.
I definitely did.
It is amazing, though, to see Spock back in the 1960s use thumb drives and touch screens, and they're all made of cardboard and
flip
things
phones.
like flip phones. It is pretty amazing. Cool. They access the internet.
Kevin Childress with a $50 donation. Thank you, Kevin. No question attached, but I do thank you. That's awesome, man. That's very
Childress
cool.
is man. So we have to let's make sure
in.
we remind everybody, because we were joking the other day when Childress was on that we were going to do a pay-per-view him and Elizondo, but we are not going to do that because we are always going to make sure every bit of this content is free. There's no access level. I just wanted to throw that out there because, we were joking about that last week. So I
will just point out before we get to the next video clip that I am a member of the Galactic Federation, and I will be selling seats for $2,000 each, and we will have a meeting in October of this year. So, hit me up on my email. So
I love you, Jazz Shaw.
Dude, I do as well. Okay, so let's get to this Jimmy Kimmel clip. All right, so you said
105, minute 105.
All right, here we go.
Yes.
And what's crazy? I never told anybody this story. In 1997, me and one of my
up the volume.
Chris Flores, we were on a double date. The girl he married, her name is Melissa, her friend named Melissa. We were on a double date. We're coming from Hollywood Video in Madera, California. And right when we passed the fairground, by this big open lot, I could have swear I saw a flying saucer come down with all the lights, and it was spinning, and it just and it took off, and everything happened in less than 5 seconds, and we all looked at each other, was like, and I know that it was a UFO. I don't care what anybody says.
You never told anybody about that?
No, you're the first person I told, because I don't want people to think I'm crazy. But, but since I know you're crazy and you believe in UFOs, now it's time to let the world know.
I mean, dude.
That's fantastic.
That's Shaquille O'Neal, man. Like, if you don't think that holds weight, like, so someone's going to watch Jimmy Kimmel last night, and again, at the water cooler, be like, yo, did you hear Shaq about his UFO story? Shaq saw a UFO, dude. Like, this is getting crazy. Like, now you might have 3 or 4 days in a row where people are getting constant UFO news, and it's coming from the President Obama, Shaquille O'Neal. We still haven't seen the. We got to watch real quick the Anderson Cooper.
That's a great one.
Yeah. So we got
as far as Shaquille O'Neal goes, though, Luis, if I can just say, we just had a conversation about, well, maybe Greer, maybe he's trying to make money, maybe he has some motivation.
Mm-hmm.
What good does it do Shaquille O'Neal to go out and tell a story like that? What profit that he doesn't already? The guy owns, I don't know, 3/4 of the United States. He's not worried about making any more money. What good does it do for him to tell a story like that if it wasn't true, except to be like, oh, well, now everybody's going to think I'm a nut job and, I have a legacy. But everybody's been talking about it.
Yeah.
And Shaquille O'Neal is like, yeah, I got a story too. And he comes out and says it. Do we really think he's trying to sell tickets to something?
Right,
or is that something that really happened? I don't know. Maybe he saw something that he misinterpreted. That's always possible.
I mean, that's always the possibility, right? I mean, he totally could have misinterpreted something, but I don't think he's not lying.
Anybody.
Yeah, he's not trying to sell anything.
No, he's definitely not trying to sell anything. I mean,
he's trying to sell a lot of clothing, but it's not about this.
Not with UFOs.
I'm pretty sure he's confident in who he is at this point, and that enough very credible people have been saying things that motivated him to tell this story. That's what I think is the most important part.
That's why this thing's gonna blow up.
Right. And Andrew Hall says, totally disagree, Lou. Why is a celebrity more credible than a non-celeb witness? I'm not saying he's credible. That's not what I'm saying at all.
He just has a bigger platform.
He just has less incentive to lie.
Yeah, he's got less incentive to lie. That's a good point. But I mean, he's right. Like, Shaq's UFO story is not more credible than my UFO story.
Or mine.
Or yours. But it's going to reach a lot more people when he tells his story. I had to told my story on Ryan Sprague's channel. Maybe 5,000 people listen to that. This video, has 187,000 views. That's the difference, dude. That's the difference.
Right.
It's got 187,000 views with only 59 dislikes. And I guarantee you those 59 dislikes came from UFO Twitter. There's no doubt about it.
You're totally right.
I was arguing with somebody last night about Obama being, well, somebody should hold him accountable because he's lying. Okay, so you want Reggie Watts to hold Barack Obama accountable, and on a national late-night comedy talk show, you want him to go, tell us why you lied about UFOs, Mr. Obama. Yeah, good luck. See how far that question goes. Like,
Well, I know that all the money I made off UFO Jane's channel when she published my videos, I retired on that. So,
right.
There's definitely money to be made.
No, for sure. Okay, so Michael, was there any part of this Anderson Cooper video in particular that you wanted to highlight? It is a 7-minute video.
It is a 7-minute video. I guess sort of like if you want to start maybe in the middle, because what I really appreciated was two things specifically. One,
she called out UFO Twitter, which was cool.
She called out UFO Twitter,
Saw that.
which was dope.
And then she turned around and said some really horrible things about UFO Twitter, all of which were true, by the way.
Oh, yes. Play the whole. Can we just play the whole video and then we'll just chop it up as we go?
Yeah.
It's so worth it.
All right,
it's so worth
let's
it.
do
Just turn it up. Turn it up.
Let's do it. All right. Hilarious.
Commander Alex Dietrich is a veteran combat pilot, having flown F-18 fighter jets over both Iraq and Afghanistan. She helped light up the internet in a 60 Minutes interview this past weekend, not with her stories about combat missions, but instead by going public with what she and a fellow pilot saw off the coast of San Diego back in 2004, something she says was unsettling. Question is, was it a UFO? There's still no official explanation, but now there is a unit devoted to unexplained phenomena.
CNN, man.
Defense.
Crazy.
Everybody's
talking about it. That's the point. It's amazing.
So, Alex, just first of all, walk us through what it is you saw.
I want to be careful because it's been 16 years since that event.
This was 2004.
November 14th, 2004. And I just want to be careful because we know, right, that the science of the mind and the science of the memory we shouldn't rely too much on my technical account at this point. But I will point out that the other aircrew and I made thorough debriefs on that day within minutes of landing, and that I made a written account with as many arrows and details and including comms and bearings and altitudes and all of that I could within, I would say, hours of landing. And then within a few years, gave thorough, almost interrogation style details to members of the Office of Naval Intelligence and ATIP. But I'll tell you overall what happened was that we were on a routine training mission off the coast of Southern California, off the USS Nimitz, which is an aircraft carrier. I was with VFA 41, which is a strike fighter squadron, as a new pilot. We were heading off to do air intercepts. We were heading off to do like a scrimmage practice, air-to-air run, and we were redirected. We were given vectors to go and intercept, see if we could intercept and identify a real-world contact. So we are scanning where we would expect to see something that we're merging with, and we don't see it. But instead we do see something in the water below us. And so my heart sank. I went from being excited that we might go get those bad guys to, oh no, those bad guys have crashed and are sinking.
That was a bizarre statement, by the way.
Search and rescue effort.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll clear
And
that
then
up.
Pause it real quick.
That happened,
Yeah.
I know the story behind
Interstage
that. So when they got their vector redirected, they thought that they were being redirected to go catch some drug runners. They thought that it was like drug runners coming up from Mexico and that they saw them on the radar and they were scrambling F-15. So that's why she said bad guys.
Okay, but then she said her heart sank when. So she was saying they thought they were going after drug runner bad guys, but then potentially the bad guys were going to die, and she didn't want that either.
Right?
Okay,
Yeah. No.
All right.
It went from oh, we're gonna go catch some guys to oh shit, those guys might need some help now. Like it's a completely different mission. So I think that's why she was like, that's why she's saying it.
That makes total sense. Thank you.
I think that's part of it. But if you listen, like I have obsessively to all the Fravors interviews, I never heard him say drug runners. I heard him say real world contact, something that had to be investigated. And the other thing that she doesn't bring up in this interview is that because it was a training mission, both her and Fravor, they had no missiles.
Right.
They had no ammunition in their cannons.
Yeah.
They were going out there completely unarmed.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, they were going out
still
there,
went
like she
and did
said.
it.
They went out there for a scrimmage, and then they got vectored to a real world point.
Right.
Which,
but they didn't get time to go get real weapons in case they needed them.
But usually that means that there's like drug runners. There's somebody on a boat, somebody's on a plane, something doing something stupid. But nothing I guarantee you she's probably done it before, and they never need weapons for anything like that. All they're looking for is visual contact from a jet, and then the jets go back, and then they come out with the real, the Coast Guard or whoever they send.
Just hit them with the coordinates.
Just hit them with the coordinates, and they just want visual contact. So, but I'm pretty sure they said that on the first season of Unidentified, is that oh man, we want to go get some drug runners. This could be cool. Like, they were excited about it, and then when they got there, that's when the excitement ended. And
Childress said, Kevin Childress said, Fravor said in drug runners in early interviews.
Yeah, he did.
She also said she wrote a super detailed report with vectors and altitude and all of that. And I wonder if that's ever going to come out or see the light of day. That would be very interesting.
This is where the interview gets interesting, where she says stuff like that. Yeah, let's hear her say it. Hold on.
Yeah.
The Tic Tac, and that's what we affectionately refer to it as, because that's what it looked like. I get a lot of questions. What did it look like? And I say, have you ever had a Tic Tac? It looked like a little oblong, little from our perspective at our altitude, but about the size of a normal aircraft fuselage. And it was white. It was sort of a matte finish, just like a Tic Tac. And it behaved in a way that we were surprised, unnerved. It accelerated, or it almost didn't accelerate, right? It sort of jumped from spot to spot and tumbled around in a way that was unpredictable. And so, again, my commanding officer, Dave Fravor, Commander Fravor at the time, he took an aggressive maneuver to engage with it. Me being the wingman and also sort of uncomfortable and inexperienced, I said, okay, I've got high cover, which basically means I'm going to hang out over here. I got your back, but I'm not going to get involved.
Can you pause it real quick?
Too closely. And so
I love her humanity and her humility in this conversation. That's all I had to say.
My wife and I had that discussion earlier because she was being very forthcoming. She was like, they're both up there at 20,000 feet. The Tic Tac is 50 feet above the water. Fravor's going down. This is her first year, if you listen to the full interview, her first year as an aircraft carrier qualified fighter jet pilot.
Right.
And Fravor is the head of the wing. And he's the one who's like, I'm going down. And she's like, I got high cover, and she's being really honest about it, which I appreciate.
Well, I mean, when they interviewed her in the first season of Unidentified and her identity was hidden, she was scared. Because like you said earlier, she didn't have the weapons to defend herself. And this was like one of her first handful of flights to get like some real in cockpit experience with some of the best pilots on the planet. And so I'm sure she's already nervous just from that aspect, and now she's seeing this thing. Like, it's wild. We got another $4.99 donation from Tim Savage. Thank you, Tim. You're the man. It says, change the topic. Significance of Richard Blumenthal's Space Force hearing. They know we know what they are doing. Who's they? On YouTube, if not familiar.
Can we hold on that comment and finish this real quick? And then we'll come back to that comment.
Yeah.
And then it just disappeared. It zoomed out of the picture so fast that we all then were scrambling on the radio. And the whole time we're on the radio with each other, just sort of losing our minds.
I'm sure you've certainly given this a lot of thought, and I'm sure you've been asked a gazillion times, but do you believe... What do you think of it? What do you think it was?
Yeah, every time every time I'm asked about this, they say, what was it? I'm not qualified to make that analysis. And part of the reason I agreed to speak with you and I agreed to speak in 60 Minutes the other night was that, I'm trying to reduce the stigma for other aircrew so that if they see something or when they see something, they'll say something and that they will not feel embarrassed or ashamed to make the reports, and that they'll know how to make the reports and where to make the reports, and that they'll contribute to this data pool of information that we have so that those who are professional intelligence analysts and scientists can look at that information that is collected and consolidated, and that they can make some really sound, reasonable, rational conclusions. Because no matter what size you are of the UFO wars, which I'm actually just learning about now, and shout out to my new friends on hashtag UFO Twitter. It's fascinating. I am fascinated with their fascination, and so whether they are hardcore enthusiasts or conspiracy theorists or hardcore debunkers, or even there's like this tribe of religious fanatics who are just, I don't quite understand them yet, but there are all these different camps. And at the core, no matter how much they're attacking each other, what I see is that they all want answers. They all want to know what it was. And we can't do that if we're just attacking each other, or if we're shaming each other, or sensationalizing it. We really have to cooperate and again, get more information, get more evidence so that we can come to some sound conclusions.
Retired Commander Alex Dietrich,
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's really fascinating.
So this is what I love.
Hold on, wait.
Okay.
Just give me. Oh, she cut it off. This is actually Christina's. That was Cristina Gomez's clip, but I was hoping she would end with what Anderson Cooper said, which he was just like, this is the problem with CNN and these three letter networks. They made like, okay, thank you, Alex Dietrich, for that amazing story, and then he goes, wow, just wow. All right, our next story is blah 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 blah. And it's just like he doesn't even process it, dude. He doesn't have the time to sit back and go, okay, what the hell did this woman just say to me? Like, let's cut to a commercial, come back, and maybe just have some questions for her or something. I don't understand why they only put 5 minutes of this story into their segment. They can make the whole segment out of this, and it would go gangbusters.
They do that in the Ryan Graves interviews too. I mean, he literally drops a bombshell and says like that these things they saw them and encountered them while he was flying his FA-18 daily for almost 2 years. He says it basically like that, and they just go, wow, and then they cut to commercial. It's like,
yeah.
What? Like, are you kidding me?
It's
daily.
Well, here's the thing: is the last thing she said, it sounds kind of familiar on this channel, which is this UFO Twitter is all they do is put each other down. Like,
dude, this is what
like
Yeah,
this is what
I'm
I've been
sorry.
trying.
Does anybody want to hear? Anybody here want to say she was wrong?
No. No, that's what we've been. That was the conversation that started this channel. Essentially, like the whole point of the Big Phone Home was to get all of these people to stop throwing mud at each other for one day and come under the umbrella, come under the tent of, hey, we all know the government has more. Let's get more information. Let's all come together and say it at the same time. And we were able to do that. Like there were people in that Big Phone Home that really did not like each other whatsoever. Yet they still got under the tent and they still helped with the message.
We had to do a lot of work for the Big Phone Home to ensure that the people on each panel were not oil and vinegar in any way. We did a lot of work to curate those panels to ensure that we didn't have this sort of warring UFO Twitter. So what she just brought up, she's brand new to UFO Twitter. Yeah, I'm 6 months into UFO Twitter, right? This is new for me. This when you come at it with fresh eyeballs and you see what's going on, and I've had people I look up to, people I respect, say to me, "You're kidding yourself if you think you can unify this tent. You're kidding yourself. You're naive. You're there's no point. Stop pretending like it's possible." And I refuse to back down on that. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to go through that interview, because I believe fully that every single person in UFO Twitter wants answers. And if we can unify under that one thing and stop ripping each other apart, that's going to be valuable, and that's going to be motivational to get us more answers. It's going to lube the process. It's going to give us the ability to work together in ways that we haven't in the past. And, you know, again, I get it. I'm naive. I'm new to this club, whatever, but I believe that. And that's the energy I'm going to bring to this conversation.
I see what she's saying, because 4:30 this afternoon, Eastern time, I was doing a radio hit while I was getting ready for this with a station in Connecticut. And my wife was sitting there listening and kind of laughing because she's been through all this before. And I was talking about the 60 Minutes thing, all the stuff we've been talking about. And they take live calls. And this woman calls in. I don't even remember her name. And the first thing she says is, I want to straighten out your guest, meaning me, because you're not looking at aliens or anything like this. It's in Leviticus. These are demons. And she's not joking in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right.
And she starts lecturing me and the host that these are all demons. And by talking about it, we're enabling the devil. And then the host cuts back to me and he's like, Jazz? And that's all he says. And I'm like, dude,
left you hanging.
I got nothing. I don't even know what to say to you at this point. But I'm going to stop. I mean, but I just wanted to add on to what Michael said. There are some very divergent camps out there.
Yes, and I'm not as naive to suspect that we can unify people in a way that we all agree. I'm not saying we have to all agree. I'm simply saying let's try to get more answers, right? Let's without more data, we can't. There's no way we can communicate with each other. So we need more.
Approach the topic from which angle you want to, but we're all trying to get to the same point, which is what actually is it? It doesn't matter what angle you're approaching it from. Just we're all trying to get at the same answers.
Not only that,
but I hear you, Jazz. I get what you're saying.
It's easier to misinform us when we're all fighting with each other.
Yes.
Right. You know, if we're all on the same page, it's a lot harder to fool us and fall for stuff. Jane, you got any thoughts on what we're saying here?
No, I mean, I just agree with everything that you're saying, Michael. I think the challenge is it's human psychology. We think that we want the answers, but we're usually seeking
validation.
The answers we want.
Affirmation.
So we have to keep just reminding ourselves of that. Like when we're in a UFO Twitter debate or we're listening to somebody speak on the topic or looking at a video, we just have to constantly remind ourselves of our bias and unite in that, unite in just how little we know. I think that's the common ground, and just be comfortable with that and avoid the jumping to conclusions of, they're all demons or
they're aliens or whatever
or they're all dolphins.
But the way I try to connect with folks who do have very specific viewpoints is to not disengage with them, though, because there's probably good reason they've actually come to those conclusions. Obviously there are lots of interesting references to possible ETs or UFOs in the Bible. So I think it's just to always try to figure out
what's the angle? Yeah,
the common ground.
Yeah, it's not wrong to say, well, how could this phenomenon be perceived as a demon, or how is it being perceived as a skinwalker possibly, or an extraterrestrial or something like that? And I think it doesn't really matter. The idea is to probe all those questions out there and then see the science and the actual accounts and everything that bring it to light, and keep picking away at that.
Yeah. Well, speaking
you got a
of
couple super
Skinwalker,
chats in the back a little bit.
I've got super chats here that I got to read, but I was going to say, speaking of Skinwalker, that's what we're going to be talking about now. Next.
Oh, yeah. Is that why we're here?
Yeah, that's why we're here. That's why the 160
people are here. Segue you there, Lou.
Nice segue. So we got a super chat from Michael O'Hare who says, would someone on the panel please review the War Zone article I've put on the chat? Please. I believe it's relevant. Can you tell us what the War Zone article is about? Because we read the War Zone quite often on this panel. And if you're referring to the one with Tyler Rogoway and the drone possibility,
they have a lot of good stuff.
There's a lot of good stuff. So yeah, we're fans of the War Zone. Just tell us which one it is, and we'll probably have a pretty decent opinion on it.
Yeah, and just so you know, Michael, when you try to put in a link, it actually won't show. It'll show up on your screen, but it actually won't show up because they avoid letting live commenters add links. So just be aware of that. We didn't see your link.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Thank you for telling me. Alex Garcia, the Nimitz Encounters features the guys operating the radars and stuff. It's a little documentary on YouTube. Yeah, that sounds cool. I got to check that out.
It's actually very good. It's very good.
I'm sure I've
the
seen
Nimitz
it.
Encounters series is fantastic, and I say that as a guy who was a radar technician and an aircraft carrier. Very well done.
Alex, do me a favor. Send me a link of that. And we'll check it out. So just send me a link on Twitter, and I'll watch it if I haven't already.
Yeah, and Michael, you can do the same thing. If you want to share a link with him on Twitter or me on Twitter, I can share it as well.
Yeah, or you could go to our Discord and share it there. The Discord is in the Linktree below.
Yes, if you guys aren't in our Discord, yeah, please do. Click on the Linktree below. Follow us on Discord. We keep this conversation going between shows, so.
Cool. All right, well, we've hit an hour. Jazz, are you good on time, or is the wife looking at you?
Oh, no. I'm fine because she has actually started filling out the divorce papers. So she's going to be busy for a little while. She's been watching the show, and she was like, God. You were going to be like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, we got the whole night now because there's so many pages. The lawyer was faxing over shit. We got all the time in the world.
Okay, great. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into episode 3 of Skinwalker Ranch. Before you do, of course, like, subscribe, smash.
Oh, did you get Tim?
Button.
Oh, no, we missed Tim Savage's super chat. Change of topic, significance of Richard Blumenthal.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Space Force hearing.
I didn't. I don't know. I don't know about a Space Force hearing. I don't. Does anybody have a comment?
I saw a headline about that, but I have not read anything about it. I can't really be of any help.
So is he saying they know, like the things operating the Tic Tacs, they know that we know what they are doing? Is that what he meant?
I think so.
The person that was put in charge of Space Force and had a staff, and there was somebody involved in Space Force that suddenly got dropped.
Yeah,
for some reason.
They were bad-mouthing some aspect of the
military.
They
were saying some stuff. I don't know if that's the actual topic. That's
I might be out of context the way I put that quote too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's that's why I had a hard time reading it. He's saying, Tim Savage is saying, yes, you have to watch it. So I guess that's right. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, if you could, again, just add us on Twitter and we'll go, we'll find it and watch it. I had the pleasure of interviewing Richard Blumenthal with Chrissy a couple weeks ago. He's fascinating.
Was that Ralph Blumenthal?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. Who? Wait, what?
You interviewed Ralph Blumenthal, no?
Yeah, isn't that what they said?
No, he said Richard Blumenthal.
Oh, Richard. I have no idea who
Richard Blumenthal. Yeah, that's very different than Ralph Blumenthal.
Yeah. Those are two different people. Richard Blumenthal. I think he was the guy that was in charge, like the head colonel or whatever, admiral, whatever, of Space Force, and he got fired. Because he was saying some derogatory things, I think, about of a certain branch of the military or something. And
please share that with me. I'd love to check that out.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about Skinwalker Ranch. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So episode 3. All right, where do we begin? I guess at the beginning. So the first thing that I guess we could talk about is they start talking to Colonel John Alexander at the top of the show, right? That's sort of the first thing that happens. Everybody's on the same page here with me. Anybody have any thoughts on John Alexander and what he said? Is this thing on? Hello.
We're trying to transition into this conversation. It was we're moving out of a very intense conversation.
Yeah. It's okay. Skinwalker Ranch, History
Jane
Channel, The Dragon. All right. So we're reviewing episode 3. Okay.
I'm getting the two guys, the two witnesses mixed up between each other.
Got it.
It might be a little rough.
No worries.
I just watched it a couple hours ago, but I'm hanging back because I already just ran my mouth for too much of this. So
wait, Didn't Colonel Alexander say, and this reminds me of what Obama was talking about, that some stuff was still classified that he had studied at Skinwalker Ranch. So I just remember perking up, like, what could that possibly be?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, and they say that every episode, though, don't they, Jane? Like, I feel like, what's his name? Fugel says that all the time. Like, there were research was done. Some of it's classified. Some of it's kept behind a, lock and key inside of what's his name, Bigelow's office.
And then he tells a story about a portal opening and a 6-foot-tall creature walking out and not leaving any tracks in the same line.
Yes. He said that he was on top of the mesa looking down. He saw a ball of light, and from that light came a 6-foot being. And then when they went down to investigate, they could not find this being.
Or any tracks on the dusty road.
With the dusty road. They did mention the dusty road a few times.
Makes total sense to me.
He had also mentioned something that looked like a predator, like the movie Predator, like a
cloaked light bending sort of
blurred
figure.
Right. Yeah, that was in the trees. And then he also talked about a creature in the tree, another creature in the trees that was shot at with a rifle. Apparently it fell to the ground, and when they got there, there was only one track, and it looked, from what his quote, a velociraptor.
Like a dinosaur track.
Like a dinosaur track. And so he lays all of this stuff out, some of the stuff that he's seen and heard about or whatever. And then they ask him, so what do you think's going on? And he basically said that he believes that it's a portal. Like the whole ranch is one big portal that, for whatever reason, these two universes clash, and when they do, you see visions of what's on the other side. So I mean, what do you guys think of what Kevin John Alexander had to say?
His comments on the price of Metamucil,
Jane,
I thought was interesting.
Your mic's muted. There you go.
Oh, I thought you guys were just ignoring me. No. It's fine.
Okay, I'm walking away because we have just been not letting Jane talk enough. I'll be right back.
Okay.
No, my biggest thing was the raptor tracks, because I was like, I looked up on Google image search, like there's really big birds like in Utah, right? And like, wouldn't you just conclude that was a big bird if you saw through? I mean, it looks almost identical, I think, to like what a condor would, or like an eagle. So that was my only and then like, what does this being look like? Because now we're talking about like a giant predator bird.
Right.
I thought we were talking about
it sound like a pterodactyl
or humanoid. So yeah, now we never got a real like description of what it looked like. But yeah, that was just what I was trying to say on mute.
Michael, did you have any thoughts on the animals that were seen by John Alexander?
I mean, it's fascinating. I would tend to agree with UFO Jane. I mean, I'm sure they seem to be misidentifications, but it's very difficult when you don't have anything but an eyewitness testimony. And I thought that was really interesting. That was one of the first things that Alex Dietrich brought up when she was being interviewed about her 16 years ago interaction with the Tic Tac, is that the human brain is incredibly fallible when it's putting ideas back together about memories of memories. So I think it's always a challenge, and that's why I really respected Luis the other night when Max Moskovich came on the show, and you're like, dude, you need to get this on file right now. The second you see something, get it recorded, get it down on paper, get a record of it. And I think that's so important. So I agree. I think it's probably a memory of a memory, and it's a misidentification.
Yeah. Also, the difference also between Alex Dietrich and everyone else is she had a debrief as soon as she got off the plane. The cockpit recordings were all taken. All of that stuff is data that backs her story.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that data and see how close her memory matches what she saw. Because I have a feeling it would be pretty close. I bet you she remembers a lot more of it than she's giving herself credit for. But
there is something in psychology called flashbulb memory, and so it's the idea that when something is so significant emotionally that it can paint a very clear picture in your brain. So that's why people, they can remember, like when JFK was shot or when 9/11 happened, they remember the room they were in, the color of the wall, the people they were with. Like it's a very distinct memory. So emotional things can trigger very good memories, but they can also trigger fears and shadows that may or may not be accurate.
I think there was a professor at the University of Delaware that the day after 9/11, or a couple of days after 9/11, his class came in and he had them write down every single detail of where they were, what happened, where did they first see it, all of those details, like you would, when you see something like that.
That's the best way to do it. If you ever, and just PSA, if you see something, say something, write it down, record it, do everything in your power.
Draw it.
Record it on your iPhone.
Horrible drawing. It's fine.
Yeah,
You'll send it to me. I'll laugh, but it does give me a better picture of what you saw.
Definitely.
It does frustrate me on this show, Skinwalker Ranch, how the cameramen are so busy following the crew, like the actors. I don't want to say actors, but the people there on the ranch, that they're not really pointing their cameras at the light in the trees or at the thing, and the way that it gets cut in the end, you wonder how much why
we're gonna get there.
We're gonna get to
we're
that.
Gonna get there.
Getting back to that first question about what he said about there's more and more people talking about the phenomenon as it, instead of being extraterrestrial from outer space, like from somewhere in the galaxy, that it's interdimensional or transdimensional or something like that. And the idea of there being particular locations and that are energetically more open or primed, or where reality sort of he even described it like slides together. And I imagine like the surface tension on two soap bubbles sort of like bumping up against each other. And right at that edge, there's kind of a merging that can occur where something that, if they were aware of that, could cross through and go back, and not permanently, but could be perceived by people in the area, or possibly that being in that area and the way that geography is, or the nature of Skinwalker Ranch, makes your own hardware more perceptive, or your own interface more capable of perceiving and seeing things when that electromagnetic field goes way up and gets amplified, and that, like, you're standing in sort of microwaves in a way, that your own perceptions of reality open to things that are there all the time that you normally are just blind and deaf to, and you have no idea would be there until those spikes occur. So it's interesting to wonder how that those layers of dimensional reality could be bumping up together. And is it reality itself and the universe sort of sliding together, or is it your perceptions opening up, or a mix of the two, depending on where you're standing? So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I just wanted to apologize for being gone for that break, because my wife was just explaining to me she's been watching and in the chat the whole time, and I probably have all the time we need for the show because I'm apparently sleeping on the couch tonight. So,
did you make another martini, though, is the question?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, perfect.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, then hopefully you won't feel the uncomfortable spots on the couch.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, but that Carl's a genius at like breaking down my skepticism, because I am very interested in quantum physics and the, what's going on in this atomic world, and there's so much that we don't understand, and there we just don't have a way to balance the macro and the micro. So I'm captivated by these processes, and I think there's a lot to there's a lot to unpack beyond the skeptical mind. So.
Well, Travis Taylor's theory is that it might be a wormhole.
Right.
These things are coming through. So,
I mean, what's the difference between a wormhole and a portal, or like?
No, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that's his theory, and so that's what led them to the experiment.
Remember when he turns the chalkboard around and it's like,
it's a whole drawing of a wormhole. Yeah. That's from season 1. That was hilarious.
All night.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a problem with that jargon, simply because I think mainstream people, when you think of wormhole, you think of jumping to light speed across the universe of the galaxy. It's not necessarily like a superimposed reality or an invisible realm just outside of our perception. It's like they're coming across somewhere, like they're jumping in a teleporter and then coming back out through some bend in space-time. And I don't know if it necessarily requires all of that spooky action to occur in order for something to bleed through in our reality or our perceptions and to see something that normally might be there that you wouldn't normally see. I don't know if it would take a wormhole. It seems like a bigger jump to kind of accept that, a bigger pill to swallow for me.
Maybe your brain is a portal, all by itself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it has a lot of electromagnetic receiving abilities and functions in there, and when you step into a heightened electromagnetic environment or geological environment that could enhance or open up that. I mean, you do that with people can do that with psychedelics and chemicals that you put inside your body that go in your brain. But when you step into an environment or a whole physical area that heightens that ability, how it might not be that much different.
Yeah.
Right. But I was listening to Mikio Kaku recently talking about the wormhole thing, like one plausible interpretation of Einstein's theory is that a black hole might be one end of something that connects to a hypothetical, not yet discovered or proven, white hole somewhere else, either in another dimension, another part of the universe, whatever. All of them involve massive amounts of energy. Like if there was a black hole sitting somewhere on Skinwalker Ranch, you'd probably notice that because you wouldn't need a bunch of laser beam light shows to find it because you would have already been sucked into it and killed, and the planet would have been destroyed. So
aren't there tiny black holes?
That's hypothetical. Yeah, it's theoretical that
I didn't know if it would have been proven yet or not. It's such like an evolving field.
I don't know. I've always had a kind of problem with taking the whole phenomena and shifting it over to the point where, and I guess that gets back to some of the Greer stuff, it's like, well, maybe if you just think hard enough, then there's going to be some sort of a tulpa or something, or you're going to, but then again, if the universe is composed of multiple dimensions that we can't conceive with our senses because we only really see 3 physical dimensions. If there's more, is that it? Well, maybe. So I kind of see where their guest was talking about that, but I think it's still, I don't think we have a lot of science for that. And you guys, am I totally off on that?
No, I think you're right. I don't think we have a lot of science for it, but I think your point is important because we want to differentiate this idea of black holes from portals or black holes from potential dimensions overlapping. I think those are probably very different things.
Yes.
Right.
That's why I have the problem with wormholes. I think that's different than dimensional realities sort of sliding together or bumping together or having a thin point where they cross over. I don't think it requires the massive quantum physical energy and material energy in order to bend space-time for a wormhole in order for that to happen.
Yeah. Well, that leads into the experiment. So let's talk about the experiment. So, Michael, you got to step out for a second? Go.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. Michael's got to go pee, everybody. Just full disclosure.
Do we have a camera in the bathroom so we can actually validate this?
God, I wish we did. So Jane, let's start with you. What did you think about the experiment they ran with the lasers, and what did you think about the new observation point that they put up?
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought the lasers were fun and pretty, and I was like, okay, yeah, we're up in like the level of experimentation. It's not now it's feeling like a Mythbusters kind of episode now, so it's fun. But then I guess it was kind of a letdown because I didn't even notice there was one point where Travis is like, stop the light right there. Yeah, right there. I see. So, and I didn't
see
kind of much ado about nothing.
Yeah.
And then the observation deck, my only thing about that is, do we want to bet if Travis or any of them actually built that deck or were actually
Okay, so here's my theory on that is I don't think Travis does any of the physical labor. I think he goes back to his trailer when everything's built.
Which Dragon called the Diva trailer.
Yeah, which Dragon called the Diva trailer. I think he goes into the trailer, he hangs out for a little bit, and then when everything's built, he'll come out and maybe they'll get footage of him being like, "All right, boys, good job. That was really good." And
Dragon was knocking that together.
Yeah, but I believe Thomas Winterton and those guys were actually building that thing like that. I believe because I saw, they got footage of them carrying boards and hammering things, and so for sure, I mean, they used the Polaris. They dragged that cow out there. Dragon was on here. He told us that they do all the physical stuff out there, but Travis Taylor is not part of the ranch like
around
that.
While the camera's there, and
he's only there for the TV show. So Travis Taylor is very much just like, I guarantee you, it's in his contract. I'm not building a goddamn thing. Like I'm not.
No, he's got a trailer and he's got somebody bring in drinks and stuff out there.
Oh, for sure.
Was I the only one when they flashed back to season 1, which I did find interesting?
Yeah.
When they shot a light out there. There was a second light, and I'm not questioning them. I'm not saying they faked it.
Yeah.
They were like, when they originally did that, they were like, that looks like something responding. We shot a light out, and another light showed up. Yeah. And I found that intriguing. But this season, now when they discuss it, it's like, it was probably splitting the beam, and that was our light. And they actually went back and showed the footage when they shot the one light out, and the other light showed up. They weren't going in parallel. They weren't locked in. Right. They were sort of dancing around each other. Yeah. So even if it really was a case where you shot a laser out there and it was split, well, then it would have just mirrored what you were doing if it was split, right? I mean, that was my takeaway. Anyway, I really didn't buy the premise.
Well, it was a weird moment in the first season, and they really didn't scientifically try to dive into it deeper. Because I agree with you. I think that was a very odd thing. It was like, whoa, wait a second. Why are there two lights up there? We only put one light source. If it is a reflection or if it's refracting, they should be moving at the same time when you move the laser.
Right.
And so, that's the problem with the show, though, Jazz, is when they do stumble onto wonderful things like that, they kind of like, all right, next experiment. We got rockets tomorrow. Let's do rockets. and they
drone up.
Yeah, they completely just, I feel like they're not doing science, and that's what we keep kind of coming back to. I don't know, man. I feel like they're missing a golden opportunity to show the scientific method, just like they do on the hunt for the God damn it.
Curse of Oak Island.
The Curse of Oak Island, because they're both the same show. They just have different titles. They're literally the same production company, but the Curse of Oak Island really, really does a great job of showing the scientific method. It's a boring show because the scientific method is boring. It takes a long time to confirm things. And in the case of Curse of Oak Island, it's taken them now 8 or 9 years, and they still haven't confirmed anything yet. So when they see something like that, I wish they would stop the entire fucking production and go, what is that? Let's try and scientifically figure it out. And if it takes the whole season, then so be it. At least by the end of the season, we'll have a good hypothesis as to what the hell's going on, as opposed to, randomly, like referencing it in season 2 as this anomaly when we don't know that. Like, there needed to be way more science done on that. And the data that you collected from that has never been shared or open sourced. So how can anybody look at it if it's nowhere to be found? It's just
not. And where are the drones? Because I got this question. I'm sure it's not in the chat. I'm on the StreamYard side. I can't see it. My wife has been screaming about this forever, about the show. It's like, where are the drones? They have obviously got drones on site because there are so many shots that are shot from drones. Mm-hmm. And they brought in people to do special things with drones. But when they get to an interesting point, we're over here doing this test. Wow, look, there's a light over there on the ridge, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, send a drone.
The amount of money they've spent on this, wouldn't you have a dude standing over there or dudette with a drone and go, yeah, it would take us 20 minutes to get a truck and get everybody to load it up.
Yeah.
Let's just throw this drone up and send it over and get some film footage.
I
And
agree.
instead, their answer is, that's really interesting. All right, let's go back to the ranch.
Right.
Or in
And
the
it
end, they
just-
just have two guys running on foot with flashlights and their
Don't
phones out.
get there yet. Don't get there yet, Carl.
I'm
We're not
so
there
glad.
yet.
I'm so
Damn it.
glad the dragon's not here.
But I mean,
no,
they,
me too.
Jazz is right though. They have towers, and they show them in the B-roll footage constantly. They have towers with security cameras with bird spikes on them and everywhere to make it look like we got this covered. And then when it comes down to it, they're just filming guys' backs running through the
It was
grass.
like, go to the Russian olive trees. The Russian
Yeah, the
olive
Russian-
There were some trees
Exactly,
that he
Jane.
kept to run to.
So, okay.
Send a drone to the Russian olive trees.
Exactly.
Russian olive
Exactly. Yeah. No, they should have a drone with a drone pilot with everyone who splits off from the group.
Exactly.
Oh, you guys are going to the ridge? Okay, great. We'll take John with you. He's got a drone, and it could be something like a Mavic 2 that literally fits in your pocket, and you can just whip it out and fly it over there. It shoots in I think 4K. Like it put a light on it. And let's call it a day.
And you can get FLIR adapters and
oh my god,
and
so
all
many
kinds
things.
of stuff.
Yeah.
LiDAR,
and those
everything.
are just commercial drones.
Yeah,
Like
you could send up 2 or 3 drones with different attachments and get all sorts of scientific data off an anomaly within a matter of minutes. But instead, they just run through the grass with their flashlights still.
Isn't that the biggest problem? I don't know how many of you have ever watched Finding Bigfoot, that show. I don't know if it's still on or not.
No.
But it's like they were always out there and they're on the edge of finding Bigfoot. And it's like, oh, there's wood knocks. Oh, wow. And then there's something moving. We see eye shine. There's a heat signature. And, oh, look at the time. We should go back to camp and talk about this. You know, and it's like, I'm sorry, but my wife is the one who brought this one up, not me. And she was just like, she's just getting that impression from this show now. Because how many times have they seen something out on the ridge over there? There's a light. There's something going on. And it's like, wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Let's go back to base camp and talk about it.
Or they talk about the rods they found underground, and you never hear about it.
Oh yeah, the rods. I didn't bring them up again. I've interviewed Cliff Brackman from Finding Bigfoot, and I really like him, and I really love his wife. They're awesome. Yeah, but I think it's like that same effect where he's a serious researcher. Like he actually looks at it from kind of the more boring biological standpoint. He doesn't have any like metaphysical alien theories. He just looks at like there's a foundation that he helped to put together it's the orang panda. Yeah, it's an actual like primate that they have helped to discover and so, but it's like the TV show, storytelling effect just takes over and trumps it all. Yeah,
Well, this is why I find it so fascinating and hilarious when Luis talks about the scientific method. I mean, Luis is literally an actor in LA, as if he doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's reality TV.
The scientific method on a reality television show.
But I mean, because it's the same production company.
Yeah.
That's why. Like that's
Okay,
why
all
I'm
right.
like I'm
I hear you.
confused. I'm so confused as to why they don't apply that to the other show. That's all I'm saying. And
Luis, are you saying this isn't all real?
Who was saying the other? Who was saying
it's real.
Was it the
good.
Dragon last week who was saying that when Brandon Fugel signed the deal that he wanted to eliminate the drama and he wanted it to be as real as possible? Was it? That's right?
I think
That's
that
what I
was
recall.
when he bought the property. I don't think that was the deal he made with History Channel. I mean, like how do you write that into a contract? Please don't make it dramatic. How do you who's going to be the arbiter of, okay, this is too dramatic.
Right.
You know what I'm
Well, I
saying?
will say,
the
like,
only
I don't.
way he could do that is if he says the only way you shoot a show on my property is if I get final edit. I get approval of the final edit.
Right.
That's the only
And
way.
you got to have a lot of money to get final edit approval.
Yep.
But he has a lot of money.
or a YouTube channel.
But he's not. But I promise you, I think here's the biggest difference between Oak Island and Skinwalker Ranch is the Oak Island guys are putting in their own money to dig and research this, and all History Channel has to do is show up.
That's actually
With
a really good
with
point.
Skinwalker Ranch, I think it's History Channel putting the money into the experiments.
You think so?
Yes, and that's why they're falling flat.
That's really interesting.
Because they don't have the financial backing that the Oak Island
But
guys
Fugel's got the money. Fugel's got.
I would not have guessed
to
that.
spend it. That doesn't mean he wants to spend it, dude.
No, you're right. You're right.
Like History
Rich
Channel
people
comes to you
are
and says,
very
hey,
good at
and
leveraging
not-
other people's money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting. But you
No, I
can
can
write
see
those
that
things.
point.
You can
Well,
write
here's
those things. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, the reason why I think that is because I know for sure that the production costs of Oak Island, because they use massive boring machines, are millions and millions of dollars to rent these machines. Like, it's a lot of money to rent that for an entire season to dig on the island. And if you put a machine like that on Skinwalker Ranch, History Channel's not paying for that. There's no way. There's no way.
Do you think that ties over into the drone thing? Because that's one of the points that my wife brought up. It's like, why don't they always have a drone on hand? Well, History Channel has drones.
Yeah.
Because they're camera drones, and they get the B-roll shots and the high stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But did they not want to pay the money to have somebody extra sitting there with the crew 24/7? If something interesting happens, go drone, go.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
because that would be a big cost.
Especially with an IR camera or an infrared camera on it of some
Right.
kind.
Well, a night vision,
especially at night when they're doing these night experiments. Like, it's I don't get why they don't have drones there. But real quick, what were you gonna say, Carl?
I was just going to say it's kind of hard to compare too, because the stuff that you're seeing done in the scientific research on Curse of Oak Island is now 7-8 seasons in, and Skinwalker Ranch is only on season 2, and so season 1 they're kind of, they have to prove themselves, and they're not going to put. So there's a little bit of a build up that has to go somewhere. And so maybe they're, sitting on.
Go look at the first 2 seasons of Oak Island. There's still a lot more science.
There is.
Because again, like, the History Channel production is not paying them. They're just showing up and saying, "Oh, you guys are gonna dig this year? Cool. Could we tag along? Awesome." And
they're making something. But you're right. It's probably very different.
They're getting eyeballs to their experiment, to their cause. Like, if they're trying to get universities or professors on board to come help them do archaeological digs, which is what's happening on that island. It'd be great to be like, hey, you could really put your university on the map because we got the History Channel. They're hanging out with us. So
the George made a great comment. He said, "You know how to be a billionaire? Don't spend millions."
Exactly.
That's such a fact. Like, that's
true,
the biggest thing about getting rich is you use other people's money for everything.
Well, buying that.
Just so you know that that's not a him.
Oh, it's a her, the George.
That's my wife.
The Gort. Oh, that's your wife.
Oh, wait, who's?
Well, your wife is very intelligent, and I'm very happy that she hasn't left you yet, because you need to stick around.
Oh,
with
she's
her.
working on it.
Which one's his wife? Which?
The George.
The Gorge. What is it? How's
the George.
The George. There's just no E at the end.
Right.
Oh,
but she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. That's how you become a
They're British.
billionaire.
George is a girl's name without an E. So in British stuff.
No, that's I like that name for a girl. But okay, so all right, we got to move on. So let's talk about the cows real quick, because I thought this was a hilarious moment in the show. They bring the cows, they tag the cows.
Oh God, here we go.
There's new biosensors. They call the cows biosensors, and then they tag the cows with actual sensors. But what I found hilarious about this moment is the people who delivered the cows, like just the drivers of the trucks, right? They get out, all the cows get out, and they're like, all right, let's get the hell out of here. And then somebody, I can't remember who it was, stopped and was like, hold on a second, I want to introduce you to the people who are going to be taking care of the cows. And then they shake hands, and then they're like, all right, we're out of here. And then they get in the truck and drive off. I was like, why do the truck drivers who are dropping off the cows need to know who's taking care of them? They don't give a shit. Like,
yeah, they do.
They don't care.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they don't care. They don't care.
I grew up on farms, man. People actually do care about the cows.
Well, but the thing
I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Fine, you can disagree with me.
He does. He raises a fair point.
But
I raised cows a long time.
It was the guy from Skinwalker going, hey, wait a second, don't go anywhere. I want to introduce you to these people. Like, those guys showed up on the ranch. There was 4 or 5 people there who already looked pretty like they're there to take on some cows, and the delivery guys made the delivery. They're like, okay, you guys got the cows. Everything's good here. Cool. And then I don't know. It just felt like filler to me. I found it hilarious. It was the most useless part of the show. Jane,
I think it was kind of like a PETA thing, because there was that whole thing too about we're bringing cows to the property because they need to take care of the land. It went on and on, and then also each cow is a biosensor. So, and we kind of hope that maybe it gets abducted. It's kind of the. They
went out of their way to have the cattle handler sit there afterwards and be like, we really care about each individual animal and their safety. And no. So maybe they were trying to drive that home so they wouldn't get a bunch of environmentalist hate.
Because those cows are there to get torn up. Right? Like that's the goal, is like hopefully this thing shows up splayed on a post.
Yeah, because they just got done showing a mutilation in the last episode and all over, and they're like, we're getting new cows in this one. So don't worry, guys. We're not.
Dude, that's such a great point, Jane.
It's not Velociraptor.
I think you're right. I think it's to settle PETA, because you bring on these animals, we're calling them biosensors.
But to be fair, I've heard them use that term for humans in the show as well.
Yeah.
They're like, we're biosensors.
So I also found funny during the laser experiment, they introduced the two guys who own the laser team. So it was Chris. You can't
even not laugh.
That could have been a brand deal as well. If they have some sort of a contract where they're like, we're going to come in and we'll do this for free, but you have to promote our service and our company. So you got to show us shaking hands with everybody. We want to see our logo on our hat.
So it was Chris and Tim from New Salt Laser. Okay. And it was just funny, dude, because they do this every show. They bring on these guys.
Follow them on Instagram.
They're just there to promote their business and show, okay, look at our laser technology. So they set up the lasers, right? And the funniest part of this show was, first of all, Dragon's like, all right, is it ready to go? Like, let's open up some portals, Like, he's like, let's do this. Let's do this already. And then Travis starts counting down like this is the fucking NASA or something. And then so they turn on the beams. The moment of truth, right? The laser beams come on. I was hoping that they would have like a grid of beams that went over the entire ranch, almost in like a checkered pattern or something. So you could see if there's a gravitational pull, maybe one of those lines gets warped. I was thinking the laser experiment was going to be like a pattern over the entire ranch and just let it sit there all night. See what happens. See if there's anything that moves those grid lines at all. No, that we didn't get anything close to that.
How is that good TV, Luis? You're an actor. Who's going to sit there and watch a bunch of beams sit there for 5 hours?
You could do a time lapse. And imagine if you did pick something up. I could tell you would have been just as entertaining as what they put up, because what they did put up was a laser light machine that shot stuff in the air and then put patterns on a mesa. So it was basically a commercial for this laser company, but they didn't do anything with it. They kind of just pointed it at the mesa a couple of times, and then they're like, okay, let's move on to the next spot. Let's go to this. I was like, to me, you can't run an experiment for 15 minutes and then go, okay, this is over. Let's go to the next spot. It doesn't work that way. Like, that's not. I thought they were going to leave the lasers there all night, every night for the rest of the season. Every night those lasers come on.
See,
I think the
that
best
would have been cool.
That's what I'm saying.
Would have been cool.
But that's what I mean.
But what would have been cooler is the comment from Now I've Become Death, who says, put a drone on a cow that shoots lasers.
Fuck yeah.
That's television.
Anything would have been better than what they did.
Or put some cameras on the cows.
Dude,
we need they need to have a more developed YouTube channel or behind the scenes or something, because we're assuming that they didn't do hours and hours and hours of laser experiment research and just nothing happened, and so they just cut to the cool parts that looked amazing on camera and then edited the rest out. We just
That's
don't
probably
know.
what happened.
I mean, I've said that this show is begging. It's begging for an after show.
But they got guys walking around with broken cell phones still. They don't have a YouTube guy there.
Dude, dude. Like, they don't have a producer there. Like,
we are available. We are available for
we're
consultation.
Available. Yes,
like
please
History
call
Channel.
us.
If you're watching,
Don't speak for me. I don't want the radiation. You guys
no.
I was about
Jane.
to volunteer Jane. She can go out there and actually snap the ratings up.
No, Jane, UFO Jane. I'm talking about we're available for consultation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd go there,
dude.
I'd go with Carl.
I think after every show airs, there should be a half-hour after show with Fugle, with Dragon, with Travis Taylor, and a host of some kind going.
It's a great
all right,
idea.
guys, let's dig into this laser experiment. Like, I don't think we got enough. Hey, what really happened that night? Like, let's talk about it. It looked. How did you guys feel about those laser experiments when they were over?
Stupid.
It was stupid. It was stupid. It was really bad.
It was a light show for a rock concert that nobody attended.
Yeah, I don't think it triggered anything.
They tried to play it in the editing as though
they
during the
did.
laser experiment, all of a sudden they see the light and have to go running after it.
That was a Ghost Hunters moment for me. When they started going, oh, what's that?
Yes.
And then the camera's moving, and then they're running, and then it's green, and then it's blurry. It's like, oh, I saw something, man. I don't know if I saw eyes or if I saw... He said eyes. Like, Travis Taylor has gone from skeptic scientist to I saw eyes. Like, it's... Dude, like, how can you call yourself the scientist on this show anymore? I feel like... And what's hilarious is before they walk the laser guys over to the part of the ranch where they're going to set up the first experiment, he turns around and he goes to the laser guys, hey, now y'all be careful. This ranch is known to be doing some crazy things. Like... You're Travis Taylor.
Travis Taylor literally has gone from I want to do ground penetrating radar and find out what the bulge is here to wormholes.
It's not even wormholes.
It didn't take long.
Portals. He's seeing yellow glimmering portals. He's seeing eyes now. He's seeing dude. There's only been one out of the 3 episodes we've seen. He's seen something in 2. What's going on?
Maybe he is. Maybe he's experiencing the phenomenon.
Look at Carl.
To the water in the hole. Come on, guys. Let's be real.
I've had a Bigfoot phenomenon encounter. So I mean,
and they dragged all the brush out of the hole and threw 100,000 gallons of water into something the size of a bathtub, and it mysteriously apparently disappeared. And we had Dragon on here and was like, dude, what happened to the water? He's like, I know, right? I was like, no, dude, I wanted a better answer than that.
Well, I don't know if you guys noticed this. This was the funniest part, I think, of the entire show. So
I thought wait before you say that, I thought we were going to let Carl explain how he evolved his consciousness to now be able to see the eyes.
I don't know.
Let's
maybe
not.
Long exposure on the ranch.
I think Travis Taylor is really starting to sort of lose credibility with me, because now he's done a complete 180 from when he first came on the ranch. Now I think he's a believer. I think it's fair to say, based off of what I'm watching on this show, he believes that something's going on there now, without a doubt.
He's picked up the formula. He's picked up the reality television formula, and he's running with it.
We should try to get him on here and ask him these questions himself.
No, for sure.
Oh, that should go well after this show.
Yeah. No,
I don't know if anybody can come back on this show.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I mean, look, dude, this was a rough one for me. Like, I had a hard time watching this episode.
I didn't enjoy it.
I did not
really
enjoy it either.
Enjoy it.
And like, but here's one of the funniest moments, I thought. So right before the laser beam come on, they got the whole team standing in front of the tower that the laser beams are. They're literally standing right in front of it. The 2 laser beam guys are 10 feet away. They're not far. But Dragon whips out the walkie-talkie to radio to the guys to turn it on. Like, you could have just go, all right, do this. Like, we didn't need the walkie-talkie shot. It was so funny, dude. I laughed out loud when I saw that. Because I'm like, he's right behind you. Why are we shooting this? Why is this happening right now?
I didn't catch they were that close, but okay.
Also, Still no sign of Dr. Christopher Lee, the radiation oncologist that was in the helicopter. Still hasn't come back to the ranch, by the way. Haven't forgotten about him.
He's gone.
He's gone. Yeah, I don't know why though. He never stayed for an experiment. They never explained. He just disappeared. He's gone. Okay, so that's another thing that I noticed. And then we get to a gentleman by the name of Chris Porritt. And he comes to visit the ranch, and he is supposed friends with Kenneth and Edith Myers, who lived on the ranch from the early 1900s up until, I don't know when, for a very long time. And then but what I thought was funny about his title is, at first they were explaining who he was, and she had said that he was an officer that reported one of the cattle mutilations, and they weren't specific as to where, who, when, and so I was very confused. And then they straightened that out a little bit later in the episode. It was actually on Skinwalker Ranch, the cattle mutilation that he reported. But what I thought was funny was that he started telling a story about Kenneth and how they became friends because they used to ride horses together. And then Kenneth, when Chris went to Kenneth's house, he noticed that everything in the house had a padlock on it. The refrigerator, the cupboards, the car, and so Kenneth says, according to Kenneth, he says to Chris, I'd really appreciate you not repeating what I'm about to tell you. And then Chris says, well, your secret's safe with me, Kenneth. And now it's safe with the rest of you, America, because I'm about to tell you exactly what he told me. I was like, wow, okay, total. All right, well, I guess it's no longer a secret.
This.
Dude,
Well, yeah, but he's dead now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that was my take on it.
Yeah, he's
dead.
Like
I kept your secret until you died.
Yes, but the one thing
that was my
also
take.
Here's the thing that struck me. The thing that struck me about this guy that was a little off. First of all, he never took off his sunglasses. I almost never trust a man who doesn't show his eyes. And
the Utah the Uinta Basin up there, the just standing out in the daytime, you can't sometimes. You have to have sunglasses. In my own backyard, I have to have sunglasses on in the daytime.
It's maybe that's a reasonable explanation. But the other thing that I found,
and one thing you need to remember, Luis, is that people with dark eyes don't need sunglasses the way people with light eyes do. So Carl, you can tell, has light blue eyes, whereas dark eyes actually you can see a lot better with in the sun.
Well, this man was the man was a cowboy. Same. Yeah, no.
So let's find out what color eyes he has.
Well, the one thing
what color eyes did he have? We don't know.
Yeah, right.
See, Jane has dark eyes. She doesn't need any sunglasses.
I do though. So
well, the one thing that struck me as
there goes my hypothesis
was that he is an ex-deputy sheriff in the Uinta Basin, which tells me he may have been fired or let go.
Former, an ex.
An ex, not former, not retired.
The dude's like 80.
What do you? So?
Well, I mean, you retire at some point.
No. But they didn't call him retired. They called him an ex.
Well, if you once
sheriff.
You retire, you're ex. I'm an ex-sailor.
No, but
I wasn't fired.
I'd call you a retired sailor, not an ex-sailor.
Yeah, but I didn't retire. You retire if you do like 20 or 25 years. Yeah. I did 8 years and just left.
Bailed.
Maybe he just quit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, maybe he did just quit, but I just found it. I was like, he's an ex-officer. I wonder why. I mean, like, I was like, was he fired? Was he let go? If so, why? It rung my ear a little weird. I was like, that sort of piqued my interest. I was like, ex-cop. Okay. Usually, I don't know, retired police officer usually is the phrase I would be looking for. But maybe I'm just looking into it too much. I'm going to take that as a yes.
I would say the part I liked about his testimony, though, because he talked, I think this is right, he talked about the cattle mutilation site and all that, and how there was a space in an imprint in the ground, and seemed to hesitate to call it a spaceship, and then he said something like, "Oh, I said it. I didn't."
I wrote it down.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was, I don't know, there was something about that felt very real,
Yeah.
like and where he was kind of having this revelation. Wow, like I'm on this TV show. I'm sharing all this, so that felt sincere. But I don't know, maybe you interpret it completely opposite.
I did.
And I'm just
did.
falling
I did.
for something.
If
know?
no, I'm not saying you are. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Totally,
I feel like based off of what Jazz has said so far, I'm completely off on this guy. And, you know, I've already got the glasses wrong. Carl hit me with the glasses thing, and then Jazz was like, "Well, I'm an ex-sailor." But he did say, yeah, he was like telling the story, and then he said, and in the middle of telling this fantastical story, he's like, "Oh yeah, I said that, didn't I? Yeah, I sure did." He said just like that. I was like, "Whoa."
That sounded phony to me.
That's so
me
funny.
too.
I just am like, just must be falling for like the biggest trick in the book, and
No,
So
I
what
didn't
it
have
sounded
any
legit
problem
like
with the description of, you know, his former law enforcement credentials or the fact that he knew the family or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I will agree with Louise. That moment stuck out to me because I was watching the replay, and that moment when he said, "Oh, I just said that." I don't want to disparage the guy. He was a law enforcement officer. I want to respect him. That felt like somebody had fed him that line. It's like, we really need this line to add a dramatic moment. That was the impression I got. But I don't know that.
Well, I don't want Jazz to go to divorce court because I know he's built himself a nice little nest egg there.
I actually think that Jazz's wife is actually having a little bit of fun in the chat right now. So
yes, she is.
Okay. All right, great. Awesome. Well,
So-
so we'll keep him as long as we can. Okay. Well, I was gonna say we can start wrapping it up because we're almost on 2 hours here.
No, we
actually
do. We
are.
need to wrap. Yeah, I need to wrap it.
Yeah. So here's the thing that really upset me about this week's episode, and I don't know if you guys caught this, but I was pissed. And it's an unforgivable sin as far as I'm concerned. From a production aspect, this is a number one sin. So they have a clip of Travis Taylor talking about the Tic Tac, explaining to the audience, filling them in on what the Tic Tac video is and where it came from. As he's doing this, they're playing the gimbal footage.
Oh.
Yes.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me with this right now. I was checked out right at that moment.
Kind
I'm like,
of unforgivable.
It's unforgivable. Unforgivable how you could put that. I mean, you're just misinforming people straight up.
I just want to say, if the dragon is watching, we know you don't cut the show.
With the dragon. Yeah, no, like this is again. We always should preface this show. This has got nothing to do with the people on the show. Nothing at all. Of course, we'll make fun of them sometimes because it's a reality TV show. We can't help but do that. But they don't edit the show. They don't produce the show. They don't have final say on what's shown. They don't even know what the edit is. They watch it as we watch it.
Yeah.
So this is not a knock on the team or the people, the players involved. This is a production, big time production F up. Like, I don't know how this was missed in this show especially. If
Well,
this
because
was
obviously
CNN or
the
Fox
people,
or something like that, totally forgivable.
the people
But this
cutting the
is-
show just don't get it or don't care.
Right.
Right. Or worse, they don't know.
But I think
would be worse.
Ignorance generally stems from lack of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
It seems like whoever's in charge of the actual production of the show, the lead producer who's there at Skinwalker Ranch, he has a totally different take than the little team over at Curse of Oak Island. I think he's approaching it like an entertainment show, and he's not approaching it like a historical investigation
On the History Channel.
On the History Channel. And so I think there's like a disconnect occurring there where they pull the people aside and they kind of say, okay, say everything that you just said again, but say it like this. and then you get these canned like, well, when I was blah, 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 and they really are articulating their words. And that's a production guy standing off to the side. And then he's sitting there in the cutting room at the end, approving the final edits and all of that. And he's kind of putting a big wet blanket on something that could be a lot cooler and a lot more interesting and scientific.
Can I ask one question? I think Jane's the perfect person to ask because she's been through the whole journalism thing and in different modes of production, of delivering information, whether you want to call that information news or entertainment. What are you seeing after a season and a few episodes of the second season? Is this an investigation and a scientific show? Is this an entertainment show like Finding Bigfoot, where you already know ahead of time there's going to be zero payoff and they're just trying to get you to click and watch? Is it a combination of the two? I mean, what's your impression so far?
Well, I'm working on a YouTube video right now, and to me, I mean, so you've got History Channel, which is owned by Disney. It owns a lot of network. It owns a lot of properties. I don't see how it wouldn't be invested in the overall disclosure industry, I guess. That's
the disclosure industry. I've never heard anyone say that yet.
I love that phrase.
That's a great.
So I do believe that there's going to be a payoff in Skinwalker Ranch, because I feel like how are they not going to like continue to try to link it to the Tic Tac? And if they can get some cool science from this season or the next, it would definitely play into that. But right now, it really does feel like more of an entertainment show right now. And I don't know if there's better evidence. They're just leaving, they're just cutting out right now, or they're just not getting, and they're trying to get, and
there's too much of the episodes being written and packaged around the brand deal sponsorships. When people come in with the laser beams and they want to show off the laser beams,
or the Jeeps.
And it's almost like hey, today's the film day where we have this guest coming on the ranch, and then we have the laser beams tonight. And they plan like the film shoot and everything around that, rather than really going out and let the science happen.
Right. And
Michael
let the
Luis,
camera follow them.
Right.
Before we go, Michael Luis, let me just ask you, because I'm just such a skeptic of so many of these other shows. If this show ends with definitive proof of fill in the blank something, unlike, Finding Bigfoot, and oh my God, we actually got a Bigfoot body. Skinwalker Ranch. Oh, there's a bulletproof wolf, and here's the pelt. Son of a bitch, we got it. Do you really think that all this production work could go on, and that wouldn't have leaked out, and nobody would know that was coming? Because my answer for you guys, before you answer, is, you know what? You wouldn't keep that a secret.
Yeah,
bro.
I agree.
Bro. Dude, thank you for asking that. And I brought this up a couple weeks. I may have brought it up last week. Is this idea, because I've been watching these, I love documentaries. I adore this genre. It's gotten to me to a point in the reality television versions, to a point where it's a little frustrating. But forever, I have been I've loved documentaries, and I've always asked that question. If I'm watching this documentary and I'm so excited, and they're leaving these little hooks and open loops and all these little marketing things to keep me hooked. If they actually found what they were looking for, wouldn't that have broken in the news prior to this being released? And the answer to your question is absolutely it would have, unless the result actually wasn't newsworthy.
Yeah. There was something that there was another treasure hunting show of some kind on, I think, the Discovery Channel, and they had actually found like a significant treasure, and that news broke before the end of the season.
So there's a little bit of real world reality there for us
those
all.
NDAs, I mean, that the footage goes. There's hundreds, especially on prior production like that. I'm assuming there's at least 30 or 40 people at one time on that ranch producing that show, and then that doesn't count all of the post-production people that stuff goes through.
There has never been a season of Survivor where online fans didn't get leaked who won the show by episode 2.
Dude,
it's true.
Never.
And
Dude,
they're
you're
on an
absolutely right.
island.
You're absolutely right.
And they're on an island. Yep, that's absolutely true. Okay, so real quick, let's go around and get some scores.
I don't want to score today.
No, I know, me neither, dude. Me neither.
God.
So, but I can tell you,
420.
this was Dragon's best episode.
Hey,
In my opinion.
Dragon was great.
Dragon was on
awesome.
fire this episode. So from an entertainment aspect, I think I was actually entertained. But I can tell you, if next week's tease is any idea of how much science we're getting to this show, next week's tease, look, I'm terrified of next week's episode. Like when they got a guy fainting at the end, you know, like I'm terrified for next week's episode. Not in a good way. So there was
Jazz is dead. He's literally died.
So
I'm sorry, I had to faint.
No, so two things that I think that I don't understand why we do not see thermal imaging cameras and why we don't see. They have a thermal camera and they've got a night vision camera, but that should be on all the time. They should also have infrared like they do on those FLIR systems going on as well. Like it should be part of the camera systems they have. All they have is like literally, it looks like pretty standard security camera systems that you could buy at a security camera store. You know, there's nothing fancy.
Fugu can wipe his ass with $100 bills.
I know.
You can't do that.
I don't know why. I mean, look, he obviously bought that property for a couple $1 million. I'm thinking it was probably $2-3 million property. I don't know why you don't turn around and spend $10 million to really just cover that ranch in as
Knock
many
it out of the
instruments
park.
as you can. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'd love to have him on the show and ask him what the deal is. Like,
I'm not gonna answer that question.
No,
he's
but
definitely not coming on the show now.
No, well, maybe not. But these are questions that need to be asked. Like first of all, where's the data? Like, we need a website where you guys post the data from these experiments, so at least that way other people can look at it. And they haven't done that.
Dude, you're right. I mean, again, if History Channel, if you're looking for a consultant for making the show better, talk to Luis.
Because I think they got a good show.
Would you go, Luis, if they were like, we want you to come and be the
100%,
and I'll run 100%.
But the first thing I would have to have is a meeting with Brandon Fugel, going, "Hey, we need you to dump some real money into your own property because these guys aren't going to spend it." Like, and then we need to dictate to them how to film the show, not them to us. Like, this is our ranch. These are our experiments. We're going to bring in whoever the fuck we want, and we're going to do it how we think it should be done. Not let's bring in the new salt laser guys or the ground penetrating radar guys.
Caretakers.
Yeah, the cow care. I don't give a shit about the cow caretakers. Like, I don't care about the guys who dropped off the cows, let alone about the cow caretakers. Like, there's so many other things that this show can really scientifically focus on, and they just.
Maybe that's because they don't. The production team doesn't believe. They don't believe. Why are they going to put?
Or they're the ones coming up with all the show ideas, and they're trying to do it all as cheap as possible by trading for brand exposure. Right.
We all understand that they're not still there doing this, right? The show's over.
Yeah, it's wrapped. No,
it's already wrapped.
That's what I'm saying.
There may be some post-production stuff going on.
If I was Brandon Fugel...
There's nothing they don't know.
Yeah, but if I was Brandon Fugel, I would be dumping, $10 million into instruments and sensitive collecting data instruments on that ranch all over the place in all different spectrums of light. And I would do it all year and film it yourself. Like, put it as a YouTube, whatever, journal. Online journal. I know Carl has pitched the idea to Dragon and along those lines of, like, you guys should be producing this yourselves, because like you said, or like Dragon says, this phenomena, if it is happening, and it seems like the consensus is, no matter how crazy or silly this show is, something's happening on the ranch. Like, that I think is real.
I think if you go back and look at generation after generation of owners of the ranch, and you look at their stories, I mean, it's hard to imagine that they're just making all of this up. So I think there's something weird going on here, and I think the premise of the show is so cool. Like, let's go in with scientific instruments and really break this down. But I think the problem is, as Carl said, as you said, as UFO Jane said, as Jazz said, and I think this is important because UFO Jane hit on something really fucking powerful. Sorry for cursing again. The disclosure industry. That's deep, UFO Jane. Like, I think you're the first person I've ever heard say that. And there's something real about that. That we need to be aware of if we're going to be arbitrating this idea of getting to the truth, because we don't want to get sucked into that disclosure industry. And I think that's the real seduction here that we have to be very careful of. And
why everybody has a problem with the episode that just aired is because it feels so industry driven and brand deal driven and bells and whistles driven, and everybody wants the facts. Everybody wants real evidence, real science, and wants some meat on the bone, and not just a magic show, you know?
Yeah, no, it's true. All right.
Jane's point is the one that cuts down to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
If this season was going to end with, holy crap, we found a portal.
Yeah.
A Bigfoot wearing a helmet with a gray for his buddy came out and slaughtered cattle, you know, and we got it on film. That would already be out in the news. It's not
100%.
going to happen. It's going to be another Finding Bigfoot, and we're being jerked off. My apologies to the women, and I'm not sure about your phrases about masturbating, but that's what it is. We're being masturbated.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that made it way better, Jazz. Way better.
What's another word? Okay. What's another word besides jerked off that I could use?
Jesus, Michael. Let's just end this show.
Go right at it.
Okay. We got to end this
For
show.
God's sakes, get us out of here.
So UFO before we give our scores, UFO Blueprint said, Lou, why are you so sweaty? He's like, you just got done watching an episode of Cops. It's hot in this room. Okay, it's starting to get summertime in LA, and I don't have AC in this, so get ready for some sweaty episodes, guys. Okay, so let's.
You don't have AC in LA?
No.
You're joking.
No, dude.
Really?
No. There's very, very rarely do you get central AC in an apartment in LA, unless you're paying some $bucks.
Well, I mean, you're like an actor. You're like rich.
Yeah, well, I've got like a window shaker in my bedroom, but I can't put an air conditioning in this office. It just doesn't. Doesn't work. Yeah. But plus, air conditioning makes noise.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
So, so from a production aspect, you know, yeah. Anyway, all right, let's give our
scores. Can you hear my air conditioning right now?
Let's not do that test right now.
Sorry.
All right, so Jazz Shaw, because I know you.
This show has gone off the rails.
Off the rails. I know. We want to get your score on the Skinwalker Ranch.
I don't know if it ever started on the rails.
That's fair.
So
there were rails.
Jesus Christ.
What's your score, Luis?
Please God. Okay, so here we go. So we've been giving it 2 scores, an entertainment score and a science score, right? Because we feel like we have to break this up. If not, I think the scores would be pretty low. So Jazz, what do you got for let's start with your science score.
With all apologies to Dragon, I'm going to go with like around a 3.5 for this week.
Wow, that's high. Okay.
Really?
Well, I thought you were going to go.
We are out of 10,
with
right?
That preface. Yeah, we're out of 10. Okay. So entertainment score, what do you got?
I was entertained by quite a few bits of it. I liked a lot of the acting. Sadly, I thought it was acting. And they had a lot of good camera work, and I liked the laser shows and things like that, because it made me feel for a moment like I was at Contact in the desert and just did some acid, you know. So that was pretty cool. So I'll give them a 4.7 on that.
Okay, 4.7 and a 3.5, so probably around a 4 overall.
Yeah.
Carl Vibe, what do you got? Let's start with science score. Science score first.
Science. I thought the laser stuff had potential, but they didn't utilize it. My problem wasn't necessarily because we don't know what science they tried. I just feel like the production company and the brand deals kind of overlapped all of that. So I'm going to say a 4 on that. And then I would say on the entertainment side, I'd like that they gave Dragon a better voice and that he's able to have a better presence there. The entertainment side, if you just wanted to be entertained, I would give it like a 5, 5.5. So I'm probably sitting around 4.5, 5, right around there.
Okay. All right. Jane?
Well, so the first time around, I think I gave it like a 3 for facts and then 4. And so I think I'm going back down to like the 3. Kind of want like the broken phone to come back.
Yeah. At this point, I would love to see a broken phone at this point.
At least it's something, right?
Yeah.
We can't explain completely. And then as far as entertainment, though, I mean, I think I'm still pretty high. Like I've been at 8, I think, since the beginning, and I feel like I'm just sitting in that same place I've been, since episode 1. So
okay,
pretty generous there.
Mikey?
I am going to, first of all, if Jazz, if you ever want to share any acid stories with us, like we could do a whole nother show about that. So I would love that.
Let's book that. Yeah.
Yes, we're booking that.
Singularity Labs.
Do I need? Yeah, we can do that on the Singularity Lab.
Dude, in my retirement years, I have nothing to apologize for anymore.
I love you so much. Yeah, thank you, Jazz. Oh my God. All right. So as you guys know, I've kind of been the skeptical one, but now like I feel like y'all have gone so much more skeptical than me, and I'm just like I'm enjoying like watching you guys rip this show apart. I'm gonna give it a 2 on the science because lasers are cool. Yeah. And then I'm gonna give it a 5.5 on the entertainment, just because I felt like there is so much raw material to bring to this show that just I mean there's some serious entertainment here. So I'm gonna land at about a 2.75 will be my final score.
And my wife just rated the show for us in the background. So apparently I'm not divorced yet.
Yeah, no,
I missed her. Did she pop in?
Yeah, no. We got her comment right here on the screen. She said, "I think science was about a 3, but entertainment was about a 6. I kept wanting to play with my phone while it was on."
See, your wife and I are like almost dialed in on that. That's really close to my score.
Yeah, and I think.
Okay, but Michael, we're not dating anytime soon.
I'm not trying to date you, Jazz. I'm trying to date your wife.
Yes.
She's a dolphin.
She's a dolphin. I think that's a great review, George. I think it's I like that she was like I kept playing with my phone, and that makes sense because
Jazz was playing with something else.
All right, let's please, Jesus Christ.
What?
Let's move on.
I'm the bad guy now.
You're the one who went over the end.
Oh,
yes.
Boy. All right, here we go. All right, so let me get my score.
You know it's uncomfortable when Carl's scratching his beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
UFO Jane is actually blushing, and I never see her blush.
This is, I think, a good place to end the night.
Definitely. Okay,
that might be a good place to end the world, Jane.
Yeah. Or all of our careers, one or the other.
Well, more of that, Luis.
Yeah. So, okay, so let me get my score.
Give your score.
So I think I'm going to give it, okay, so science score, I'm going to go, man.
Is he going to do it? Is he going to give it a 1?
He's going to give it like a 9.
I think I am. I'm going to give it a 1.
I saw it. I saw it coming.
I'm going to give it a 1, and I think I'm going to give it a 1. I don't know what side of the sin that I want to put this on, because the sin wasn't a science sin, it was a production sin.
Right, that's why, yeah.
And so, but the dragon was so goddamn entertaining this episode.
He was.
Okay. I'm going to give the science a 1 because I thought the science was non-existent in this episode. It
Oh,
was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found.
I actually, I feel like
I
I've
almost want to give it a 0, to be honest with you. Like it's that bad for me.
Yeah, I felt that. I was actually like, you and I have spent a lot of time together over the past 3 months or so, and I was sensing this was going to be really rough.
Yeah, like this. Yeah. I kind of had high hopes for this episode. And so, yeah, I'm going to give it a 1, and that I think is being generous, honestly.
Wow.
The entertainment aspect. Oh, God, I wish I could just give Dragon an 8 or a 9 because I really loved him.
Should we have a Dragon rating be a separate third rating?
We should add a Dragon rating.
Maybe we should.
We should.
That's why mine were fluffed a little.
The show was entertaining. I'm going to give the entertainment part a 7. I was thoroughly entertained.
Wow, that's generous.
I was thoroughly entertained. Like I still had fun watching it. I still laughed my ass off at certain moments. Like it was just so silly. I couldn't help but laugh. So I was entertained. But yeah, that one, like you guys, whoever's editing the show and whoever's giving final production thumbs up, you need to watch the show. You need to watch the show, and you guys need to know what the hell you're talking about because you made yourselves look really silly this episode. Because here we are, we're in the middle of some of the biggest disclosure this planet's ever seen, and the History Channel's confusing people on videos and facts. Get that shit under control. Like, I can't forgive that sin. But other than that, I had a great time. I can't wait to see someone faint next week. That's definitely going to be happening. So let's see what the story behind that is.
More cows, more real cows, people who know about cows. The whole cow shit was bullshit. And bullshit is very appropriate.
And it is. And if History Channel's looking for a cow guy, please hire Jazz Shaw.
The Jazz Shaw.
Yeah.
I'm not available because I'm moving into retirement, but hire UFO Jane. I bet she knows something about cows.
I don't like cows. My grandparents'
You can
cows
fake it.
charged me. So I don't like to be around cows.
This reminds me of the Oscars when they start bringing on the music to shut everyone up.
Yep.
No more cows.
All right, you guys. No, this was a fun show. I'm glad that we went over all the news. We went over all these new videos. A lot of great opinions and viewpoints. I always love doing these Skinwalker Ranch reviews. So they're always entertaining. They're always fun. Again, we know this is all in jest. This is all in good fun. We know that you guys, on the show don't produce, don't direct, don't edit. So take all of these things with a grain of salt if you are watching, because we want you to come on the show. We want you to have fun with us. So with that said, let's go ahead. Who wants to leave first? Carl? Jazz?
Yeah, I'll go.
Carl, all right. Wow. Okay, Carl. Okay. All right. Bye, Carl. Where you gotta go? Please tell people where you can find your stuff.
Just cracking a joke. No, you can check me out on Carl Vibe. I want to do my first live show with whoever wants to join. Maybe Friday, Saturday, whenever it works out.
Let's do Friday. Let's do Friday.
Carl.
Cool. Yeah. And we'll talk about a cool topic, or let me know, and we'll go deep with it. So Carl Vibe on YouTube, Carl Vibe on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll figure out the times, but we go on at 1:00 Friday here on this show, 1 p.m. PST, and so maybe we could go on the Carl show after.
Yeah.
Let's do it, and then whatever comes up and we want to go in deeper, we can just keep going.
Sounds good. All right, Carl. Well, thanks for stopping by, dude, and getting weird with us here.
Thanks, guys.
Later, Carl.
All right, buddy. Jazz Shaw.
I'm out of here. I'm apparently getting divorced. I'm hoping that UFO Jane will make room for me in her basement and I can maybe move in there after that happens, because, this has gone on far too long. Where can you find me online? I don't want everybody to follow me online. I want everybody to follow Luis and Michael and UFO Jane. I'm okay. I'm fine. If you go search on Jazz Shaw, you'll find me. But these guys are doing great work. I'm not doing this for any money. Okay? None whatsoever.
Same.
These people could use support. No, I'm not making a joke.
I'm not either.
All three of these people could use support. And please support them because they're doing great work that I think is important. So, you want to follow me on Twitter? I'm at Jazz Shaw. There you go.
All right, Jazz. Well,
We love you,
around
Jazz.
in these parts. We'll see you on Friday.
Okay, guys.
Later, brother.
Ciao.
Whoa.
Well,
did you just...
yeah, there we go. All right, Jane. Dude, I love Jane. Jane, thank you for putting up with all
I
this.
love you guys.
this-
Dude.
So I really have been enjoying this.
I thank you. I'm glad that you're here because I love your insights and your viewpoints. Every time you come on the show, man, you always make great points. I love the idea.
Dude, the disclosure industry.
industry.
Oh, hashtag.
Are we part of the disclosure industry? Would this
The
show
answer...
Oh, I think the big phone home kind of cemented
It is,
that.
right?
So.
Yeah. Definitely, yes, right? We're part of the disclosure industry.
Well, I think the question is the fact that it's now an industry, does that make us a sellout, even though we're not making any money?
I would like to be a sellout.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
That is my goal.
Do you have a Patreon? Do you have a Patreon, UFO Jane? If people want to support you,
Don't, and I should. It's kind of like I'm really bad at that. That kind of side of things,
we need to get on that. I need to get on that too. I don't have one either.
Yeah, but that's Luis. Good on you for that's good that you guys you have the Patreon. That's awesome, and chat's awesome. So I'm just glad to be a part of this whole community. It's fun.
Well, we love having you here, Jane. And I got to get in touch with the friend, our friend that you put me in touch with, because I just haven't had the time. Please, if you've talked to her or if you told her that I was trying to get in touch with her.
I haven't yet, but
okay. Well, please do.
Okay.
I haven't watched her stuff yet, so I haven't. You know what I'm saying? I want to watch her thing before I reach out, but I just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
But we want more female voices on this channel, and because I love having them here.
Awesome.
UFO
and,
Twitter
when
is so...
Cristina can't be here, or if you can't be here, we want to make sure that we always have a lady in the wings to make sure that this is a diverse panel.
Doesn't get too off the rails.
Right, exactly.
Well, you didn't help with that tonight.
If I can tell you though, if she wasn't here, it would have gone way worse. I feel like
that's probably
way
true.
worse. So I'm glad that you're here as the governor for the show. So UFO Jane, before you go, of course, please let everyone know where they can find your sweet soul.
Yeah, well, just UFO Jane. You can search and on YouTube, Instagram. Hopefully, I'll pop up and you'll find me. I know Luis has the links in the description. So yeah,
awesome.
I'm everywhere.
All right,
Bye,
Jane.
UFO Jane.
We'll see you next Wednesday, girl.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
I'm beat, man. I'm so tired, dude. I'm so tired. You guys, just full disclosure, because I like being honest with you guys. I'm waking up at probably 6 a.m. every morning, driving Uber for anywhere between 5 and 8 hours, and then coming right here and jamming all of the prep for the show in an hour. Like today, I wasn't able to tweet or share this channel on Facebook. Like, you guys are the show. Again, I can't remind you enough, the Patreon, the Super Chats, all of that stuff helps keep me out of that damn Uber, out of my car. I can tell you, man, every time I get home, Michael, I'm just like so angry. It's like, dude, I don't want to be doing it anymore. I don't want to be doing it anymore. I just want to be doing this. I'm always thinking about, damn it, what am I missing? Like, what tweets am I missing? What news am I missing? And then I got to come.
Discord conversations are you missing?
Conversations I'm missing, which I'm sure I'm missing a ton.
Dude, I'm right there with you. Like, the Discord is blowing up. Oh, by the way, if you guys are not in the Discord, in the link description, click the link because check out the Discord because there's some great conversations going in there. We try to hang out with you as much as possible in between shows, but as you know, Luis is working a day job. I own my own business. I'm working all day, and we're exhausted.
But in a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way. Like,
in a good way.
This show doesn't make me exhausted. It's everything around it.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No,
like,
this
is the best part of the day always. Is this?
I agree.
Yeah, it's damn fun, dude. Well, we got guys.
It's the most fun thing I do all day.
For sure, without a doubt. And we got some plans for the show, you guys. Like, things are gonna get more organized. Things are gonna be. We're getting merch. All of that stuff is coming, but it's just there's not enough hours in the day. And the more support we get from you guys, the easier it makes our lives to provide all of those things that you guys want. So with all of that out of the way, Michael, you got anything? What are we doing on the Singularity Lab tomorrow?
That's a fantastic question. So the Singularity Lab tomorrow, for those of you who don't know what the Singularity is, it's the idea that human beings are exponentially exploding with technology, and that technology may soon be a part of our very biology. That being said, if you want to explore where we're taking that next, hit us up on the Singularity Lab tomorrow. I've got some cool guests that I'm working on joining us, and it's gonna be a hell of a time. We're gonna talk about some breaking technology. We're gonna talk about breaking science and some really cool stuff. So join us over there. All you got to do is follow the Linktree, click my Linktree down below, and then come follow us at the Singularity Lab YouTube channel. And join us live. We're gonna be live at 7 p.m. with Luis after another full day of Uber driving. But you know what? We're going to have a freaking great time.
It's going to be a blast. UFO UAP says, hire me. I'm brown, so I work hard.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
Well, I'm brown. I work hard. You're brown. You work hard.
I'm brown. I work hard.
So there's nothing.
Well, listen, do me a favor.
about that.
Hit me up on Twitter, UFO UAP. Tell me what you can provide for the
Yeah,
show.
what do you want to do, bro?
If we can use you, we will. Trust me.
Because we're looking for volunteers for both of our shows. We're looking for volunteers, and so Luis and I, we're in this boat together. We're building these two channels as part of a network, and we're looking for volunteers. We're looking for people who want to pitch in. We're looking for people who want to, and we'll share you out there. You come in, do some hard work for us. We're gonna share your name out there.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the conversations we're having. We need people to chop up our shows and make Instagram clips out of them. We need people to put timestamps on all of the shows we're doing. We need people to make thumbnails for our show. There's a ton of shit that you could do. So if you think you have an eye for that, writers?
Dude, because there are things that I want to create. There's video content that I want to create for the Singularity Lab that I just don't have time to write it. I've got ideas, but I just don't have time to sit down and write it.
Right.
And so I'm looking for collaborators to help me create those things.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, look, it's an open source show. We try to invite as many people and get as many hands involved in this show as we possibly can. It's all about spreading love, spreading everybody's point of views, and trying to bring in as many people into this tent as we can. And the tent is, we know the government has more information. Let's try and get some more out of them, and let's come on that common ground. And then everything else, let's see if we can work out from there. But yeah, all right. Well, Mikey, I can't wait for tomorrow's show.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited.
It's gonna be fun.
Again, hit me up on Twitter at Singularity Mike. Follow. Make sure if you're sitting in this room and you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, hit the damn subscribe button. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, no, definitely hit the subscribe button. And ring the bell. I mean, because we do. It's sometimes out of the Monday we do live streams Monday through Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday here, Tuesday, Thursday on Mike's channel, and if something big breaks or something big happens, we'll do a live breaking news live stream there. So ring the bell so that way you guys know when we go live. You'll get a notification on your phone or whatever you use to communicate with the world. And yeah, that's it.
That's all I got, brother.
All right, my dude. Well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, man. Love you. Great show. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your consistency, because it matters.
We want more UFO Dad. Trust me, more UFO Dad is coming. I think he's going to be here Friday, actually. We had a great, interesting discussion in our private chat with UFO Dad about Nazis in making UFOs. And I was like, okay, this is perfect because... are we gonna have Graeme Rendall on Friday as well? I'm gonna try. Yeah, I'm gonna ask him to come on. I mean, I told everybody, hey, this is a great topic for the show. Let's talk about this live. Yep. So hopefully we'll talk about a little bit about that. Let's see what other news comes out between now and Friday, which I have a feeling there's gonna be more. And yeah, that's it.
Love it.
All right, Mikey.
Later, brother.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
You soon, bud.
All right,
always my pleasure. Yeah. All right, you guys. So I'm gonna let the music play out for a little bit. If you have any questions in the chat, actually, damn, we didn't take any calls today. Do you guys want to make some calls? If you guys want to call and ask me a question, I totally forgot. The show's been going on so long, I totally forgot to take calls. If you guys want to do calls, I'll put the link in the chat. Let me know. I'll let the music play for a little while. If you have any questions, anything you want to know, ask me in the chat and I will answer it for you. I also like to come in and check my Twitter because I know I've missed some stuff here in the last 2 hours that we've been doing this show. So yeah. Before we go, I want to say thank you to the sponsor, BlueMarlinChronicles.com, purveyors of the world's finest fishing tackle since 1995. Want to say thank you to DOS Tapes. They provide all of the sick jams that you hear on the show. Their SoundCloud link is in the description below. It's not a SoundCloud, it is a Bandcamp link. Their Bandcamp link is in the description below. Also, I think we got Eclectic Methods Bandcamp link in there as well. He provides music to the show sometimes as well. And of course, this show is brought to you by, not really, my favorite drink of all time. The Arizona iced tea, usually peach iced tea, but today was mango because they didn't have peach. But it always makes the show easier to have that at a arm's reach. Anyway, you guys, thank you so damn much for being part of the show, part of this awesome community. Like, subscribe, share as much as you can. And that's it. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming aboard, getting weird with me here on another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review, your home for credible news, reviews, and commentary on everything UFOs and UAPs. My name's Luis Jimenez. Until next time, you guys, peace.
To be somebody's fantasy, a worldwide ecstasy. A worldwide ecstasy.
sorry, JC, you missed the old intro. I'm gonna start working that old intro back in. I think I know what you're talking about. We could work that back into the show, bro. Don't sweat it. We got you, homie. All right, guys. Thank you so much again for stopping by, getting weird with us here on another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review. Be good, everyone.